Hello, everybody. Nice to have you on board once again for another live show. And hope everybody is well. Just going to connect. I would connect it to the IRC chat. There we are again. Hey everyone, welcome aboard. Nice to have all of you here. And hope you enjoyed today's show once again. So everything looks fine. Pretty good. Pretty good. Hey everybody. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you all on board. As usual, this is the Shortwave radio show. We are Saturday, March the 10th. And yes, I got a few comments that said, well, it says Friday on the links. Yeah, you know, that's a YouTube glitch. The YouTube title does say Saturday, March 10th. But for some reason, it displays Friday when I actually put the link. And that's been something that happens quite regularly with YouTube. So anyways, this is a show about radio, shortwave radio of every kind. And it's always fun to have you here. So we had a nice show yesterday, which was the usual Friday show, 2000 UT. We had, what, 3 hours and a half, around 3 hours and a half of a show yesterday. Not too bad. How long today? This show doesn't have any official length, so anything can happen. Not sure I'm going to beat the 5 hours and 30 minutes record, but we'll try to entertain you as much as we can. And nice to have you all on board as usual on this Saturday edition of the show. So on Saturdays, we're here every 2 weeks, just to remind everybody. And it's always nice to have all of you here. So today we'll continue some of the questions we've got from William that sent me questions on the email, and we answered some of them yesterday. And of course, there's going to be a lot of we're going to have that show, these questions, and continue the questions today. And of course, there are going to be questions that people are going to ask, and it's just always a lot of fun to have these shows going on. So, hello there, Radioactive, Luis Arevalo, MDK2, Richard Cook, Sheldon Harvey, Radioactive, hello there, Sheldon Harvey, hello there from Greenfield Park, iMapper, nice to have you here from Moscow, Casper Peterson, nice to have you on board. XNADXer, hey there, Keegan, in Northwest Arkansas, 71 Fahrenheit. That is definitely the expedition weather. Nick Amandel from Romania, Brandy Handel 03, nice to have you here from the UK. Joan Silkins from Belgium, nice to have you here. JD Williamson, nice to have you on board. Nick Amandel from Romania. David Green, hello there. PLF Radio from France. Jerry DX, nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess, as usual, say WA5107 SWL, Blanchard 03, or 3, Blanchard 3. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have everybody here, for sure. Luis Arevalos from East Los Angeles. And Jenna Williamson is from Holland. Nice to have all of you here. Calvin, nice to have you on board. So, of course, we are going to talk about radio. I was tuning around this. I'm on the CB band right now. I've been tuning around, and there's these guys that in the past few months have been almost every evening on 27165 upper sideband, which is, I believe, channel 16 of the CB band. And it's fun to have them listen to them. They are very, very... It's interesting because they're CBers, but they're very technical. Actually, more technical than a lot of amateur radio operators that I've seen. So it's kind of interesting because they are interesting to listen to. And they were just talking a few minutes ago. 27165. It would be interesting if they knew that the show is on and that they actually are live on YouTube when they talk. Manny CV, hello there. Nice to have you here. Bill Mead. Yes, the Shortwave pub is open. Steve and Maxine from Australia. Nice to have you on board, both of you. And of course, we are here to talk about radio. Cheers. I've got my usual beer. So I had a 6-pack, 3 yesterday, and I've got 3 left for today. So cheers, everybody. JD Williamson says, CB in my corner is pretty much dead. A few farmers, nothing else. You know, the CB band is rather dead here too. Rather dead, but there's these guys that have been there for the past, I'd say the past 6 months. They're quite regular, almost every evening, and on the weekends they're there almost all day long. And they seem to be really big fans because they're talking about, you know, antennas and stuff. The guy that was talking earlier about, you know, having a new antenna for his CB setup. And, you know, the other CB that I hear is either mobile, so truckers, for example, or in the wintertime, which is kind of interesting when there's big snowstorms. There's the snow removal crews. But the truckers, which are private trucks that are paid for, you know, taking the snow and dumping it somewhere else, they are, you know, everyday truckers that own their own trucks, and they have CBs in there. So every time there's a snowstorm and they actually want to remove the snow, well, there's always tons of CBers of truckers on different channels, and they're, you know, asking where the snowblower is and so on. And kind of interesting, you know, it's like you can follow the crews around and where they are and removing snow. So there's, you know, some kind of activity, at least thanks to that. But if you remove that, I mean, the CB band is rather dead. It's not the CB band of the 70s or 80s, I can tell you that. I remember when I got my TRC 432 right here, I mean, there was a lot of CBers. I remember my first walkie-talkie, which was a 1-channel talkie on channel 14. And we had a lot of difficulty just talking because it was just, you know, impossible. There was so many CBers back then. And there was really it was really the ton. I mean, 70s and 80s, CB was the thing. I can tell you that. And by the way, my name is Gilles, and I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, for those that don't know where this is coming from. Nice to have everybody on board. Radioactive says the maximum usable frequency at Boulder, Colorado is 14.35 megahertz. Should be good propagation to the east for me. Jerry's watching the Paralympics snowboarding. That's pretty cool. You know, it's so sad that we take and make all the emphasis on the Olympics, but when there's the Paralympics, it's like we don't hear anything. It's kind of sad, you know. It should have the same importance, honestly. Dave Todd says channel 16 was the old SSB channel in the days of 23 channel CBs. Huh? Nice to have you on board from Niagara. One amigo. Nice to have you here in Barcelona. Richard Cook says propagation bit poor on frequencies, rather good below 10. Yeah, so, you know, the maximum usable frequency isn't super high because, I mean, with the solar flux, I think it was 67. I mean, this is kind of the lowest solar flux you can pretty much get. And we're going to have to get used to that. You know, we're getting into the, we're not yet into the solar minimum. That means we're pretty much going to have that type of propagation for the next couple of years. And what's going to be important to understand is that, of course, in there will be some height of solar activity that will, you know, from time to time sunspots will appear. And you're going to have good propagation. So when sunspots appear, it's almost like, okay, listen to the shortwave bands. There's going to be increased propagation. And then when everything disappears again, and you have a blank sun, you get to the low solar flux. But don't, you know, I see this, and unfortunately it's something I see quite regularly. Tons of people saying, well, you know, now with the couple of years of low solar activity, I think shortwave is going to be dead. And it's like, no, that's not at all the case. It changes the frequencies we listen to. It changes, you know, how we listen to. But no. Yeah, I mean, even in the low parts of solar activity, there's tons of things to listen to, and it's you know, just turn on the radio. It's very, very, very important to turn on the radio. Okay, and you know what? Turning on the radio and tuning around, you never know. Sometimes it's like, you know, I got a comment this week on the channel. Somebody said, you know what? I was looking at your 10-meter band video, explaining where, you know, what the 10-meter band is and all of that. And you were saying in your video, even if you don't hear anything, and even if you think you won't hear anything, go and tune around. You never know. And on the afternoon that he tried it, he said, you know what, I tried it a few times, there was nothing. One afternoon I tried it, and wow, I was so surprised. There was tons of signals because there was sporadic E-skip happening in his area. And basically, it meant that he had tons of signal. He said, I was surprised, and what came up to mind is your exact phrase when you said, you know, listen, you never know what could be there. You could be very surprised even though you think nothing will be there. So it's important to tune around and tune around everywhere. You never know. Janus Przloki, something like that. Sorry. From Poland, SO6AFP. Nice to have you on board. And says, are using a lot of CB at cars in Poland, but base stations are very rare. Yeah, that's pretty much most of the use here is now mobile. Absolutely. JD Williamson, it's kind of nice to know when they pass your house. I blew a few finals and a few radios due to incorrect antenna. Little did I know way back then. You know, we learn. I can tell you that. That's the thing. We learn. PLF Radio says, do we have to have a license to talk on the CB band? In North America, no. The CB band license requirements were removed in somewhere in the 80s, I believe. So there's no, here in Canada and in the United States, I believe there's no license required. As long as you stay within the legal limits, which is something that a lot of CBers are not. Even those guys are talking. Sometimes they mention their power out. And I can tell you that they are not legal, technically. But, you know. Man. Calvin says, have you used the SDR Play 2 Pro at all, Jill, or anyone here? I ordered one today, and a Raspberry Pi 3. A lot of people, I've never used one, but a lot of people in the chat have the RSP Play 2, and they just love it. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with that, and using it with a Raspberry Pi is going to be great. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. That seems to be very, very, very nice. Hey, Mick in Leicester, England, and he's a shortwave holic. That's a good way to be. Have some kind of being addictive to something. I think shortwave radio is a good one. Is a good one. Of course, you know, it might suffer from being lonely, but you know. Well, I'm here today to say that I lost my wife, my children, and my cat to the fact that I listen to shortwave all the time. I'm so ashamed. Oh, God. What else? J.D. Williamson says, had the radio on all afternoon. You know, I've had the SDR since I woke up. I woke up at like 9 a.m. this morning, and the SDR has been on since 9 a.m. Been shooting around, having fun with that. And kind of a radio day, you know. I'm about to do a radio show, so why not have a full radio day, basically. Really nice. Radioactive says K-index is high 4, so yep, absolutely. There it changes, you know. K-index was 4. There's a kind of a coronal hole that's blowing a little bit of solar wind our way, so there's a lot of the there was some auroras during the night. I saw a few pictures on space weather, so really nice. Simon Smith, nice to have you here. Chris Freitas, nice to have you on board. Just got back from getting some Marcos pizza. Hopefully I don't get called into work, but on standby. Yeah, let's hope that you can stay and watch the show. Paul A. Steckler, nice to have you here. I'm rebroadcasting the audio of the show using low-power FM transmitter so all my neighbors can listen. So there's going to be some neighbors maybe like, you know, tuning around and saying, "What that? There's that guy that says he's in Canada, and I don't understand what he's doing on FM radio right here." And who knows? There's always the possibility that I turn up somewhere on the shortwave bands quite regularly. There's pirate radio here and there that fires up its transmitter, and suddenly you hear my voice on the shortwave bands. So that is always kind of cool, I gotta say. And we'll have to prepare something in the next few weeks. Kind of do a special pirate radio broadcast and try to have some pirates rebroadcast the audio of my shows. I think that could be fun. Danny, Shortwave Radio DX, nice to have you on board from Yonkers, New York. Really, really nice. Rock Ristorante, nice to have you on board from Sweden. And just curious, am I the only one who still use the WRTH World Radio TV Handbook? I think it's a great book, a book. Yeah, I got the 2017 edition here, and it's not something I buy every year, but it's something that I like to have from time to time, a recent copy. I don't use that for schedules or anything, but it is a very, very good reference for everything that's the information that you might want about, contacting stations and information about, transmitter side, the power used, contact information, even the persons responsible for different things. It is very, very, very nice, all the work in there for that type of information. Of every type of, whatever transmits almost, TV, AM, FM, and shortwave. So it is a good reference for that type of information, I gotta say. Okay, anything else? Let's go down slowly. Go down slowly. I always stop, here and there, so it's like... So J.D. Williamson says, no license in Europe, though different channels, frequencies throughout Europe. So it's a little different. Dexbar74, nice to have you on board, and he's drinking wine. That's good, all right. Whatever you're drinking, Coca-Cola, water, juice, tea, coffee, it's all right. It's all right. Radioactive says there's a weather fax on 11088. Let me check that out. Not sure. I'm not sure if my ear is wrong or something, but I had the impression I heard something on that frequency in here. There's something on 11388. We'll see if we can hear something a little later. There's a lot of activity, by the way, on the Air Force, the U.S. Air Force. Some kind of digital bursts on 11388. That's that little red thing that you see moving in the waterfall there. And there's a lot of activity on the frequencies for the U.S. Air Force. Here today, 13200 was coming in really well, but 8992, 13200, 11175, 15016, all frequencies in upper sideband where you can listen to that. And there's a lot of activity today. Neil Toombs, hello there, M0CJM from Basingstoke, Hampshire. Hope you're all well. I am absolutely fantastically well. So funny because I had there was a panic call yesterday when I ended the show. I looked at my phone and I had a text message, and the karaoke bar where I go, I also sometimes take a look at computers and fix things there. So there was a panic text message saying, hey, something is happening, you got to be here. So I said, oh, okay. So as soon as the show ended up at, there to fix whatever happened. We're not really sure what happened exactly, but anyways, things are back to normal. It was kind of funny. It's like, okay, kind of a panic call here. Gold Digger, nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. John Young, greetings. Having a beer to prep for next Saturday, St. Patrick's in a big in Montana. Well, yeah, there's going to be probably, I guess it's next weekend that there's going to be St. Patrick's Day parade here in downtown Montreal, which is always one of the big events here in Montreal. St. Patrick's was one of those big events. There's a lot of people going and checking out the parade. A funny story related to that. is about 10 years ago, I was wearing a green pair of jeans and a green t-shirt. And it was around St. Patrick's, but it was not, you know. So did this guy come up to me and says, "Are you Irish?" I said, "No, I'm not Irish at all." He said, "Why are you wearing green?" "Well, I guess it's a legal color we're allowed to wear." He was looking at me like if I was an extraterrestrial or something, you know, an alien from somewhere. Bill Mean, BBC World Service on 12095. Let's check that out, 12095. And not very strong. Barely a peep of signal there for me, 12095. Let's go down. Calvin says, the plasma TV moved today. I can enjoy shortwave again. Wow, I'm happy for you. Nothing worse than having a neighbor that has some kind of really, you know, crappy device that creates tons of noise. It's just so sad. So, hi Ian Craft, nice to have you on board. Ian Craft, let's see, I would guess it's Ian. Hal Hutchison, the 8500 had to go because you got an 8600. Whoa, now that's cool. I'd like to have an 8600. Don't have the cash for it, but I'd like to have one. I can tell you that. If you wish, and you know, don't know what to do with it, you can donate the 8600. I'd gladly accept it, but I don't think it's gonna happen any day soon. And you know, and if anyone wins millions of dollars in the chat room, you know, through the lottery or anything, please think of me for the, you know, ICOM SCR 8600 or something. Corey Ramsey, nice to have you here. Nice shirt, nice choice of shirt. Actually, it was so funny because the other time I had a Duran Duran shirt, and I remembered Sheldon. Sheldon didn't seem to be a really big fan. So today I'm looking at the t-shirts, and I actually had to make some washing because I had like 2 t-shirts left in the drawer, and I'm like, okay, what's the t-shirts? Okay, oh, we got Tom Petty. Okay, I would guess Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers is going to be approved by Sheldon. And no, I don't need to have an approval to wear a t-shirt of some band or something. Man. What else do we have? Neon Music Group. Nice to have you here from North Carolina, USA. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Drinking water, radioactive root beer. I haven't had a root beer in a long time. I like A&W root beer. It's just so good. I haven't had that in such a long time. John Ritson, hello there. Nice to have you here. Ronald Zucala, nice to have you here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Strange sound on 15370 upper sideband. Never heard before. Let's go to 15370. Except for some local interference, not really hearing anything. Technically, that should be a Radio Vanucuba frequency. Shakemaker01, Angel, fellow Canadian living in Belgium. Nice to have you here. Yeah, I know, Belgium. It's one of those places where I need to go one day to drink beer. What's your favorite traveling radio? Took my Sony 7600 JR to Africa lately and got some great reception. Cheers. Sony 7600 JR is an amazing radio. If I would travel and have a you know, can have a good radio with me, I would probably bring my favorite travel radio would be the Grundig G5 because it is amazingly good at what it does, and I would have a lot of fun with it. So that would be probably one of mine. And if I'm afraid to get stolen or something, I'd probably bring along Texan PL 380. If I ever lose it or get it stolen or something, at least it's not a, you know, I can buy another one. It's rather cheap. Grundig G5 is kind of hard to find. You know, it's discontinued, been discontinued for a while. SWL France, nice to have you on board. Bienvenue. Always nice to have you here. Slow-mo stuff in Australia, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Walker Ball, nice to have you on board. Greetings. Lady Nigel Pilars, nice to have you on board from Northwest UK. And look at that, we're just 25 minutes into the show and we're already close to 100 viewers. It's going to be a nice day. Sheldon says Foo Fighters would have been better. I don't have a Foo Fighters. You know, all the t-shirts I got is from shows that I've gone to see. I haven't worn this t-shirt almost. It's maybe the third, fourth time I'm wearing it. And this is from Tom Petty show that I've seen in Toronto with a good friend of mine. We went to Toronto to see Tom Petty, and it was just so funny because the story is I always been a big fan of Tom Petty, but he would never come to Montreal, you know. So in 2008, a friend calls me up and says, "Hey, you see Tom Petty's going to Toronto, but he's not coming to Montreal." And we're talking on the phone, and while we're talking, I'm going on the internet. I'm like, be cool, huh, to go to Toronto. He said, "Oh man, that would be so much fun." So I look, so, well, we have to go. He says, "What do you mean you have to go?" "I just bought 2 tickets. And I said, "What?" "Yeah, I just bought 2 tickets, so we have to go to Toronto." So he says, "Well, okay. And how do you want to do that, to go and come back?" I said, "No, well, if you're at Toronto, I don't want to do it just, you know, go to Toronto, watch the show, and come back. It's like, yeah, let's stay there a little bit, you know." So I'm looking at I'm on the internet, and I said, "Okay, so we're there for 2 days, for 2 nights." And he says, "Oh, really?" "Well, yeah, I just booked the hotel." So he's like, "You just booked the hotel?" "Yeah, and I got the tickets. So you had no choice, I have to go." So he's like on the phone, like a little surprised. And he was like, "Okay, it's done." So, but yeah, man, we had a blast. And, you know, even today, he's always telling me how it's one of the most amazing, because, you know, you guys kind of see a little bit the kind of guy I am sometimes on the live shows. And I'm the kind of guy that when you go somewhere, you're going to do a hell of a lot of things. We're not going to sit down and just, you know, do nothing. So it's just so funny because we arrived there the day before the show. We arrived there at like 11:30 p.m. So it's really late. So I look at him and he says, "Yeah, what do you want to do?" I said, "Hey, get your camera. We're going downtown Toronto." So he's like, "Now? Well, I can't sleep. I'm in Toronto. I've got to do something." So we spent the night there, and at around 4 a.m., going around everywhere, he says, "So I'm going to get some sleep." I said, "No, we got to move the car at 7 a.m. because where it was parked, had to move it. At 7 a.m., it had to be gone from that spot." So I said, "Look, it's 4 a.m. If I go to sleep now, I won't get up at 7 a.m. So we got to move the car at 7 a.m. We're going to stay up all night." So we stayed up all night. We slept maybe 2 hours in the daytime, and we went to see Tom Petty in the evening, which was really cool. It was at the Air Canada Center. And, you know, we did all the usual stuff. I never had been back then to Toronto, so, you know, CN Tower and everything, which was amazing. And anyways, that's the story of the t-shirt. Long story for just a t-shirt, eh? So I got the t-shirt, of course, there. But I'm not the guy that buys the official t-shirts. I never buy the official t-shirts. I always buy the t-shirts from the guy that sells it on the street in front of the place, you know. And my friends always tell me, "Well, why don't you buy the real t-shirt?" It's like, no, look, I just gave $200 to see Tom Petty. He got my money. I don't care. I don't want to buy his t-shirt at $50. The guy in front of the place has a nice one, and it's $10. That's what I'm going to take. And I always do that, you know. Duran Duran was the same thing. I look at the t-shirt, it's like, yeah, $50 for a t-shirt, come on, you know. So we go outside, and the guy says, "Well, you know, $20 t-shirt. I'm like, "Okay, I'll give you 30 and I'll take 3. And so he says, "Okay." $10 a t-shirt. So I had one, and I had two for my nephews, Gabriel, and another friend. So it was like, you know, might as well, you know, who cares? So anyways, that's the big story here. I'm going down slowly. Sorry I stopped in the chat, but I'm coming up. So slow-mo stuff. Hello there. Shortwave SWL France. Nice to have you here. Yep, we are moving our clocks tonight in North America. Don't forget about it, except if you're in Arizona, and I believe, except if you're in Saskatchewan, Canada. I think it's the 2 places, at least the 2 places I know that are kind of not changing. What else do we have? David Williamson, nice to have you here. Says Channel 16 is all local watch on Marine VHF in South Africa. Yeah, Channel 16, I believe, it's pretty much a universal marine frequency, calling frequency for everywhere, even here in Canada. The VHF Channel 16 for the maritime stuff is also a popular channel. Kamal Zoto, nice to have you here from Morocco. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Is any DX programs on shortwave? A question from Laird Nigel P. Lawrence. Yeah, there are a few. The two that I actually enjoy listening to a lot. One is, of course, Glenn Hauser's World of Radio. And if you go to worldofradio.com, you'll have the full schedule of when it's available from the different shortwave stations on the shortwave bands. It's available there's almost a few times every day that it actually plays on different stations, different times. So World of Radio, Glenn Hauser's excellent show. You also, one of the shows that I kind of like is AWR Wavescan. For example, today is the day that I listen to it usually, because at what is it? I think it's at 0430 UT on WWCR on 4840. That's the frequency I hear the best here. But you can hear it through the week in different outlets like WRMI also. So AWR Wavescan and Glenn Hauser's World of Radio are two of the excellent shows. There are some DX segments on different shortwave stations, like there's the Voice of Turkey that has a DX segment that is okay. There's, I believe, Argentina, but Argentina is, you know, it's fun because it's there, but it's not necessarily the best one around. But you know, there's these little shows like that. But the two that I would recommend sincerely listening to regularly on the shortwave bands would be AWR Wavescan, which is on WRMI and on WRMI and on it's WRMI and WWCR for the AWR Wavescan, and Glenn Hauser's World of Radio is on WRMI, and I believe on maybe WBCQ or some few stations like that air it from time to time. But worldofradio.com, you'll see the schedule from Glenn Hauser's show. You also have the online audio possibility, and AWR Wavescan also you can have, by the way, on the AWR Advanced World Radio website, which is kind of interesting. So, you know, it's pretty cool, and it's really, really a lot of fun. So Jerry says my R8600 is getting built. Gonna be a few months before I get it. Special edition. Huh, interesting. Yeah, Tom Petty, kind of cool. Calvin says, I listened to your show last Sunday as well. Really enjoyed it. Very insightful for people who don't know what shortwave is. Yeah, and by the way, also there is one that you can listen to online, another radio-related show, and it's the International Radio Report on CKUT 98.3 FM. But you can listen to it archived and also online live when it's happening on Sundays at 15:30 UTC. And it's ckut.ca. If you missed the show, you go into the archives and you'll have about 3 months worth of shows. You'll hear my beautiful voice in the past 3 episodes. And of course, tomorrow Sheldon and David are back at the regular controls. But I'm going to be there quite regularly. So my voice is going to be something familiar on the International Radio Report from now on, I believe, because kind of love the experience and love to be there. It's nice to see Sheldon and David also at the same time. So I think it's going to be fun. So, you know. What else? Zach Antle, nice to have you on board. I reset my computer last night. It's working great so far. Cool. Cool. Nothing like a great working computer. Mick says another 2 weeks for England. Yeah, in Europe it's different. We don't have the same times. We change. Ian Kraft is on the buzzer on 4625. Bullfrog 89, KD2 CXU, checking in. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool, pretty cool. But hope you have a nice board meeting with the ambulance squad. Hey, that is very, very, very cool. Also, Danny Shortwave is talking about the new feature for YouTube. When the live stream is replayed, you now have the chat also, which is very, very nice, because one of the biggest things that was missing when people were watching my show, and because I interact with the chat room a lot, one of the biggest problems with that is you don't see the chat, so you see me answering questions. I had a guy the other day that came and said, well, your show is lame. I think you just talk to yourself. I don't believe you have all these people. It's like, yeah, because you don't see the chat. But now the new feature is actually showing the chat. So if you watch my stream recorded since, I think it started about a week ago, one or 2 weeks ago, you now have the full chat room as it was going on at the same time that is with the video, which is very, very nice. It's a very cool feature. Southern Illinois San, nice to have you here, says I would like to see a Texan 880 with a flip out handle. That way I won't drop it. Yeah, dropping radios. That's my life, I can tell you that. PLF Radio says you won't bring the DJD 1103 on a trip. Yeah, I would also, but it depends. You know, it depends what type of trip. If it's a trip that is something where I'm going to do serious DXing, I'd rather have the Gredic G5. But you know, that's another radio that could be very nice to have, the DJD 1103. Absolutely, absolutely. Radioactive is happy, saying that, and I'm happy. 25 minutes, only 19 likes. Yeah, well, you know, they go up with time. KS Enduro, nice to have you here. Just picked up a Helicrafters SX110. Neat old radio. These are nice, really beautiful radios. Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going on an official 5-hour show today. We'll go slowly. Oh God. Chris Freitas says, speaking of root beer, you should try Not Your Father's Root Beer. It's sort of a mix of A&W and IBC root beer. Huh, interesting. With a bit of alcohol, really? Oh, I'd like to try that. Absolutely. Yeah, the bars do not. Absolutely, Sheldon. The bars close. Absolutely at 11 p.m. That was the bummer for Toronto, because I went there and I remember not thinking about it. When the Tom Petty show ended, it was about 10:30 p.m. So we go out and said, hey, let's have a beer. So we just do a corner street, and there's a nice big bar with, you know, an outside terrace and everything. So we just sit down, and the girl comes up and says, oh, it's the last call. And I'm like, what? It's early. What is that? And it's like, oh yeah, that's not Montreal. Bars don't close at 3 a.m. here. It's like, so we didn't drink. We just had, you know, a blast, which was very fun, because also one of the things that now today we have here in Montreal, but not in the same manner. One thing that I totally enjoyed at the middle of the night is the food trucks at different places downtown in Toronto, where we just walk and it's like, oh, there's a food truck. I can have a hamburger at 3 a.m. from a roadside food truck, which is something not here. Here the food trucks are kind of, first, we didn't have food trucks for a long time, and the food trucks are kind of concentrated in specific places now. And I thought that was one of the fun things, though, going in Toronto. So, you know. So, what else do we have? Going down, and coming, guys. I'm just trying to go. And by the way, if I miss your questions, just ask it again, because sometimes I'm going fast down the chat. And if I didn't say hi to you, say hello. I want to say hi to everybody. Rich in Atlanta, Georgia says, hey Jill, it's been a long time. Can you hear RAF Vomit on 11253? Yes, and actually I signed on the waterfall. Here it is. The Royal Air Force Vomit from UK. So RAF Vomit on 11253 upper sideband is there. What else do we have? Do you need shortwave radio DXS? I used to do the same thing when going to events. I always buy from the bootlegger in the street. Ain't paying $50 for a t-shirt. Same thing here. You know, I don't. It's, you know, somebody was telling me, yeah, but it's not a real thing. You know, it's not the real deal. And like, I don't care. I don't care. I just want to have a souvenir, and that's a correct souvenir for me. It's just an okay one. You know, no problems there. Tovdidas, Laguna Vicios. Nice to have you here on board, and it's pretty cool to see everybody here as usual. Yeah, there's mailbag shows also, absolutely. So Walker Boss says, is that why they big huge satellite dishes in open areas with no one around to reduce noise? You know, one of the reasons why they do these really big satellite, you know, dish fields very far from everyone is the lowest noise possible, you know. Dave Talk, nice to have you here. So it's got fiber TV over the phone line. Jay Wilson 69, hey there, nice to have you here. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Yes, there is some form of DX and mailback show from Radio Romania, absolutely, as Richard Cook is mentioning. There's also Radio Vanik Cuba as a mailback segment. Is Arnie Coro back on his feet? I know he was sick, was at the hospital something. Is the DX show from Radio Vanik Cuba still there? Arnie Coro's DXers Unlimited. Has that come back? So, you know. When does UTC change for DST? It doesn't. UTC always stays the same. And that's the nice thing of UTC. If it's your reference, you're never lost. Calvin says, will you be on the show? No, I won't be on the show tomorrow on the International Radio Report, but I will be soon again. I will be regular. I'll try to be there at least, if I can, I'd like maybe to be there twice a month. If Sheldon can still put up with me. Joking. Oh, God. But tomorrow it's Sheldon, and Sheldon's going to probably have tons and tons of things to talk about from the Shortwave Fest down in Pennsylvania. So, MDK2 says, welcome to Gilles Letourneau's Shortwave Schizophrenia Show. Man. So it's cool, you know, it's really nice to have, it's you know, it's nice to have the chat with the YouTube recorded shows, because at least now you can really see everything. So this is really, really nice. Are there shortwave shows on Shortwave? Are these shortwave shows? Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, World Radio and AWR Wavescan and all of that. Douglas Elliott, nice to have you here. Sorry if I missed you. So UTC never changes. It's always the same. And it's fun to have all of that back. What is there? Going down. Slowly. D. Elkins, hello there. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. You know what, MDK2? I was looking for the March, because I'm going to talk about it in a few seconds, the March edition of the Messenger from the Canadian International DX Club. And while taking that out, I saw the Spectrum Monitor email, and I said, whoa, man, we're March 10th, and I haven't even checked out the March edition of the Spectrum Monitor also. I was like, man, I got to do it. Laird Nigel, have you ever seen Fleetwood Mac? I've seen Fleetwood Mac back in 1988 or something, around there, 1989, which was very good. And I don't know, I'd like to go to see them. They are coming back with their kind of the last tour ever, and they're supposed to be in Montreal sometime this summer, I believe. I kind of would like to see that, so I'm going to see. But you know, what's the problem with shows today is really, really amazing prices of the tickets. I mean, you know, when I was young, it's like $25. I believe Fleetwood Mac, I paid $25 to see Fleetwood Mac in 1988 or something. Today, to see Fleetwood Mac is $250, and you're like, whoa, It's not the same thing. It's 10 times more. It's just crazy, you know. Cosmic Lettuce, greetings. Nice to have you on board. I still need to go to that astronomy show that you have live every day at 0200. I need to do my duties and be there. Okay, thanks MDK2. So Arnie Coro is back. So you have DXers Unlimited, which is what here twice a week, something like that, which is a entertaining show. Hey there, Shortwave guest. Man, I've got cat air. Nice to have you here, Mr. Shortwave guest in the IRC chat room. Pretty cool. Bill Mead also confirms. Heard Glenn Hauser say Arnie is back. Paul B, nice to have you on board. Enjoyed your channel last night. I'm on a budget. I love shortwave. So, which would you suggest? XH Data D808 or the Texan PL660? I believe whatever you buy, one or the other, both are excellent radios. The PL660 is a great receiver. The XH Data D808, I see tons and tons of positive reviews on it. Both of them seem to be amazingly good radios. So, you know what? Whatever receiver you get is going to be great. So, it's really nice. So, no problem. Cosmic Lettuce. What is that thing called work that interferes with the shortwave listening hobby? Have you heard? A Southern Sense says, have you heard any ARP transmissions this week? Nope. I need to check out a little more because I haven't seen any posts or any information about ARP transmissions and schedules. I need to check that out. Could be very interesting. Max Edstrong, have you ever used a galvanic isolation transformer? Nope, never. Nope. Danny Shortwave Radio DX says he owns both. He likes the XH Data D808 more, and it's cheaper. So kind of nice. Why not check it out? I see a lot of positive stuff on that. I can tell you that. So is WWV heard around the world, Luis Arevalo? Yeah, depending on propagation, absolutely. WWV will be heard around the world. I've heard WWV regularly when tuning around software-defined receivers from different areas or different countries. I've heard WWV. It's one of my reflexes when I go to an online radio that's somewhere else. I kind of always go on the 5, 10, 15, 20 megahertz frequencies and see if I can hear WWV signal. And of course, at the same time, you stumble across different other time signals, like on 10 megahertz you might hear BPM in China, or depending on where you are, you'll hear different time signal stations. Sometimes you'll hear WWVH better. The other day I was on a Japanese SDR, and I've listened for an hour. I was listening to BPM China, and I tuned back maybe 2 or 3 hours later. BPM China was not there, but I would hear WWVH from Hawaii, which you can actually make a difference. WWV as a man giving the time, WWVH in Hawaii as a woman giving the time. So you can make them know which one you're listening to thanks to that little change. So pretty cool. Neil Toon says, I'm off to see Toto in Manchester 2nd April. I know I have the VIP experience, but it was £200. It's really very expensive to see shows today. It's just, that's probably what's holding back for seeing a lot of shows, because I am a live show junkie. I love to see bands live. It's something I always enjoyed. I used to go see shows, 2 or 3 shows a month in the 90s for a long time. 2-3 shows a month, and saw a lot of things, including things I would not have gone to, because sometimes a friend of mine would say, "Hey, you like, for example, Poison." I'm not a Poison fan at all. But you know, friend calls you up, says, "Hey, Poison's coming to Montreal. I want to see it." Okay, all I know is every rose has its thorn, but okay, why not? You know, I'm a big fan of Led Zeppelin. I like Robert Plant. A friend of mine calls up, says, "Hey, I want to go see Robert Plant. Why not?" And it actually was very interesting, and he did, you know, maybe 6 or 7 Led Zeppelin songs in it. That's kind of nice, you know. But today, I can't do that. I mean, it cost me $1,000 to see 3 shows a month. I don't have that kind of money now. It's just crazy. Man, what else do we have? What's your opinion on the Alinco receivers? J.D. Williamson says the Alinco DXR8, something like that, seems to be an amazing radio. The reviews that I've seen from the Alinco receivers, from that one in particular, is that it's a good shortwave receiver, but you got to remember it needs a power supply because it's not included, and you've got to, what is that? Somebody was just talking.
Secondary frequency 13306 and at 40 left contact.
Some aeronautical. Some aeronautical communications on 11396 upper sideband. So nice to what else do we have? Did smoke pot back old days during concerts? Shortwave guest says, yeah, that was in the days it was possible. So it's really really nice. So the Alinco DXRA seems to be a good one. The MDK2 says, we all forgot about the Spectrum monitor. Even Radioactive says, wow, thanks for reminding me to download the March edition. We all forgot about it. Calvin has a DJX2000. Great receiver. Need to add a link of wire to the antenna for shortwave. Brilliant when you add the right antennas for the band you want to listen to. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Radio Hobbyist, hello there. Nice to have you here. What else do we have? Southern Illinois Sense says shows today have more pyro and lasers. Why it's more expensive. Here in Canada, we also have something that's kind of bad for us because shows are labeled in US dollars. Canadian dollar being quite low now compared to the US. It boosts up the price of all our tickets. So, you know, a show that's going to be $200 in the US is going to be $270 here. It's crazy. David Williamson, nice to have you here. Yeah, there's part of it that's greedy. You know, everybody's greedy in the show. I mean, the artist wants a big chunk, and everybody around that wants a big chunk. But, you know, you kind of also understand one thing. When you see a show that goes to somewhere and it has, you know, 6 or 7 semis full of equipment that they have to, you know, drag around the tour, you also understand, you know, with all the people that you have to have, why a show costs so much money today also. I can tell you that. That's really, really crazy. What else do we have? What else do we have? Checking out. If I miss out on something, please say hello. I'm really sorry if I do. So Danny Shortwave says the XH data D808 is more sensitive on medium wave and long wave than the Texan PL660. So this is kind of nice. I need to get one of those and test it. Hey, Sparky Zila 85. Good afternoon. Nice to have you on board. Wow. Tomorrow's the Wisconsin QSO party. If anyone interested, runs from 1800 to 0100 UTC. So I'll be checking that out. William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. Pretty cool. And pretty nice to have everybody here. Lift Radio says XH Data D808, very easy to tune to single sideband, lower sideband, upper sideband with numeric fine tuning. Kind of nice, kind of nice. MDK2 says last big show I saw, Rush in 2015. Don't think I paid more than 80, but it definitely was not for prime seating. Yeah, and you know, some of the older bands that you don't hear much about is the you know the money is it's the tickets cost less. You know, we gotta face it. Chris Freitas says I should subscribe to Spectrum Monitor. I did pick up the Worldwide Listening Guide while at the fest, like the last edition. The new one is great guide to numerous programs, all platforms. I got the Worldwide Listening Guide on in electronic form, and you really should. Everybody that enjoys radio a lot, you should subscribe to Spectrum Monitor. Talking of Spectrum Monitor, oh yeah, that's true. You know that's where we hate the I hate the time changes, because you see the reference does change, and we're going to have to talk about that. But the International Radio Report is now at 14:30 UTC on Sundays and not 15:30, because the time change. Totally right, Sheldon. Thanks for correcting me. And talking about a great thing that everybody should subscribe to, the Canadian International DX Club is great. It's very inexpensive. It's a club, first of all, in Canada, so when you pay your dues, you're a member of a club, a radio club. It's not just for Canadians, it is for everybody who has subjects on every type of radio-related things. This is the March edition of the Canadian International DX Club. This is the front of the cover of the little PDF magazine. And look at that. Look. Okay, let's just look at what is in there. So if we go down and we look at what's in there, you will have, of course, you know, so there's board of directors report, but you will have in there all sorts of things to look at. Winter Shortwave festival stuff. You have all sorts of columns for, you know, broadcast band. You have everything, you know, related to radio. So let's go down here. Some logs, of course, a lot of logs. People sending logs of everything. Very interesting with QSLs and reports. People receiving all sorts of things. Arctic, Antarctic DX information. You've got some amateur radio stuff also in there. A lot of it pretty cool. A lot of news about what's happening in the world of amateur radio and the world of shortwave. As well as, you know, AM, FM, and you know, scanner radio and VHF. So you got tons of things that you can check out. It's a great addition. The shortwave logbook with all the logs of everybody listening to all sorts of things around shortwave. You're wondering what's on the bands. You got a nice log of everything there. You can send in your logs, of course. Free radio scene, so everything that's pirates and whatever you want. DX listening digest info from Glenn Hauser. Primetime shortwave schedules, all the schedules for English language broadcasts by time, which is very nice. DX program guide. Here we're talking about DX shows, what's on the air. There's the DX program guide available in there, so you have all the shows that's available. You know, you have the podding along for everything that is podcasts and information about different podcasts and information about shows that might have some interest to anybody that wants to listen in. Technical topics, all sorts of things, antennas, receivers, electronics, ham radio report, another great thing that you can check out. So what's news, what's happening in the world of radio, actually. So you know what? A great magazine, a great little PDF electronic magazine that you can simply watch. It's a monthly publication from the Canadian International DX Club, and it is a great little magazine to read every month. That is, you know, very nice. It's $10 a month or $25 for 3 years. Not $10 a month, $10 a year, or $25 for 3 years. And it is available. You can have a sample copy, by the way, and you just send to CIDXclub@yahoo.com. cidxclub@yahoo.com. You ask for a sample copy. You'll have the March edition, and you can pay through PayPal if you want. And there's of course other ways that you can pay for it, but PayPal is one of them. It's an easy way to make a payment, and it's a great little magazine, and you are part of a club at the same time. It's kind of cool, and you know, it's been around since 1962. You know, now I'm a official member that will stay member, but I've been I think the first time I became a member of CIDX was, I don't know, back in probably late 80s, early 90s was the first time I subscribed to the CIDX bulletin. Back then it was a paper, printed paper publication. Today it's an electronic publication that you receive through through email. So you get that in your email every month. Nice little thing to check out. Lots of cool information. If you have an e-reader or a tablet, you know, it's great because you have it in your tablet. It's beautiful little and very well made, very professional. You know, you can't say that about all club bulletins. This is a very well made and very professional like bulletin, and one of the best, if not the best, around for a club publication, honestly. So cidxclub@yahoo.com. You ask for your sample copy, and why not subscribe and you know, be part of a great gang of radio enthusiasts for sure. And of course, as Sheldon just corrected me, there's the International Radio Report. It is at 14:30 UTC now. So very important to correct this, 14:30 UTC, because we have our time change. So thanks for letting me know. Absolutely. What else do we have? David Williamson says, I'm looking for a Kenwood R2000. I would go on eBay and check out from time to time. You could go on also, isn't Universal Radio? Isn't Universal Radio sometimes selling used receivers? You know, check out, you know, one of the places to check out, and that a lot of people don't. Check your local classified ads. I've been on Kijiji a lot, and I mean, there are radios there that go by from time quite often, honestly. And you know, check that out. eBay, one of the biggest problems, a lot of them ask way too much for what it's worth. But eBay, local classified ads are very, very, you'd be surprised what's there. I can tell you that. And so, you know, check that out. It is a nice Kenwood receiver. So is the Cuban lady there? Whoops. I didn't do it well. Let's go down here. What am I doing? 16180. So I don't know if I can hear anything. No, it's not 16180. It's 16480. No, 180? Yeah, it's 180. Okay, I'm lost. I don't hear much right now. It's 17480 when it's there. Yeah, 16180. Don't hear anything. So pretty cool to have you here. Mike Lee, hello there. Nice to have you here. Kimberly, K6YYL. Nice to have you on board for from California. Really cool to have everybody here. And what else do we have? K2 is receiving to 16180. So pretty cool. So really, really nice to have you on board. Absolutely, PLF Radio, worldofradio.com, and you have the radio schedules for the shows and everything. It's a great place. And thanks, Sheldon, for posting the email for the Canadian International DX Club Messenger Bulletin. Great bulletin. If you've seen here, lots and lots of details in there. And can't wait to... that's going to be my Saturday night thing. I'm going to listen to the radio after the show, and you know, read the CIDX Messenger and my in the Spectrum monitor. Nothing like, you know, enjoying a little relaxed time with your radios and having some radio documentation at the same time. So it's pretty cool. Craigslist, absolutely radioactive. There's another one here. Craigslist is a great place for radios. It's pretty surprising. I see Kenwood R2000s go by quite regularly. Chris Lowdell, nice to have you here as usual. Pretty cool. Kangaroo King V83DLO, nice to have you here, Don. Pretty cool. Bill Mead says, "Oh, my wife Tara has baked a Quebecois maple sugar pie this afternoon. She wanted me to let you know." Okay, can I be there? I'll be there after the show. I bet that must be a really good pie. That with you know, some ice cream. It was just great. What else do we have? Brett Wayne, KC2NXP. Go to the QTH.com for ham and shortwave radios. So QTH.com is another place apparently. Pretty cool. Douglas Elliott ordered a sample mag. Cool. And you'll have a lot of fun. It's a great little magazine. And you know, it's so inexpensive at $10 a year or $25 for 3 years. Great deal on that also. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun. So, yep, as Radioactive says, feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Absolutely. Chris Freitas says, that's pretty much what I do on most Saturdays and Sundays, as it is the only time to do extensive listening. I am lucky because, well, I work a lot from home, so I personally have the possibility to listen in quite regularly at different times of day, pretty much you know, almost every day during the week. So it's really cool for that, because I can honestly say I'm a very lucky guy to be able to do so, honestly. So at least I got that. That's really nice in everything I do also, you know. It's pretty cool. MDK2 says Jank Electronics, JAHNKE Electronics is a known Kenwood servicer who sometimes sells used equipment. So pretty cool, and he shares the link in the chat room, so check that out. Might have a Kenwood R2000 for not too expensive. Kangaroo King just got his ham license on January 18th. Congratulations. Got a Baofeng 5-watt. You know, slowly you'll build up that radio collection, and you'll come back in 20 years and say, hey, I've got 256 radios, you know. But congratulations. Paul B says, I use to tour as a sound technician with international bands. Would you like to buy some U2 Zeropa money? Man, I was at that concert at that time. I was at that concert. It was at the I believe it was at the Olympic Stadium here back then. So pretty cool. Chris Freitas says, it is also nice background audio while editing videos and looking forward. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone try to get the International Space Station on the radio? Absolutely, Kangaroo King. And actually, I even have on, I think I have some on this channel, but I have some on the other channel, the VHF UHF channel that I've got, where I received the International Space Station on VHF on the 2-meter band from the International Space Station, which is pretty cool. And they often have contacts with amateur radio operators. You gotta get the schedule of when they operate. There's also a packet radio, I believe, that's still operational. Jerry DX just signed up for 3 years for the CIDX club. That is great. Welcome aboard the club, man. Really nice. Let's try to have a few more. Let's try to fill up that club with tons of members. So, Michael Bott in the IRC chat, nice to have you here. We got West that says picked up a Burkett Uniden scanner, BC 345 CRS at London Drugs a couple of weeks ago for a sell price of $59. You know, at that price, it you know, no shortwave, but covers AM, FM as well as scanner frequencies. You know, $59. It's reasonable price. You know, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Man, what else do we have? Oh, it's so funny. You guys are talking about food, and I am watching on Netflix The Beast, which is that show where you know, with that trivia show, and one of the questions yesterday, which is so funny. One of the questions yesterday was, where would you be in the world? In what country would you be in the world if you are eating poutine? And I'm like, okay. And the Beast, that you know, the guy that knows almost anything, he didn't know the answer. And I was like, oh, he doesn't know that poutine is kind of Canadian. It was just funny. And it was three Harvard students that were there against the Beast. And one of the three Harvard says, hey, I've been to Canada and I love poutine, so it's from Canada. It's just funny. Ah, man. Did you go to the Olympics when it came to Montreal? I was exactly what, 7 years old. I have vague memory of the Olympics in Montreal. I was 7 years old. I remember it was a big thing, but it's kind of a blurry souvenir from when I was young. My brother is much more. My brother is 9 years older, so he's seen all kinds of things, and he was there. But not 7 years. You're like not really necessarily there. I would maybe remember more if it was like, you know, if I participated in some kind of event or something where we could see the events, not participated as, you know, in the events themselves. But, you know, Kangaroo King says maybe more than 250 radios. Yeah, why not? Luis Arevalo, what is the requirements in Canada for a ham ticket? Well, you got a couple of different ham tickets that are available, I believe, depending on, I don't know what's all the different levels, but their basic license, the first license, is honestly quite easy to get, you know, and you know, it's just taking the time to do it for me personally, because when I go to the Industry Canada website, they have the exam there that you can, they send you like, you know, 100 random questions. Last time that I did it was last fall, I believe, and I got like 85% score doing it online, so I'm like already okay to get my hand license. I already have all the knowledge required. It's just, you know, a question of taking the time to do it. The International Space Station is on the 145. That I believe it's 825 for the packet, and 800 when they send some internet, some SSTV. So if they do send slow scan TV, 145 800. And I believe the packet station is on 145 825, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, maybe somebody could correct me if I have something that is not exactly. Chris says, Kiwi SDR needs to have an app. At least I always have my Samsung S8 at work and can listen while on break. Right now it is too cold to take the PL660. But soon it will change. Summer's coming. Yeah, so we're on the good way there, for sure. I can tell you that. Oh, that's interesting. Humanity Star satellite passing over North America this week. I'll be checking that out. What else do we have? Daddy Shortwave says, every time I tell my wife I'm expecting a package, she says, another radio? I can tell you that. I don't say anything. Honestly, I don't say anything. You know? So, it's kind of funny. What else do we have? Actually, I never say anything, and when I get a new radio, I always say, hey, it's my money, I do what I want with it. Radioactive says, speaking of used receivers, Craigslist in my area has an R1000 with external speaker for $250. Not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. Oh, man. And no, I'm not talking about Putin, that guy in Russia. Bill Mead says, the Poutine Festival in Montreal is set for July 31st to August 5th. A Poutine Festival. Poutine Festival. So what else do we have? Yeah, 15580. Usually Voice of America 15580 from Botswana. With some music right now. 15580. This is Voice of America from Botswana. Dave Todd says we have Putin in Canada. Oh, really, Jerry? I didn't know that. What is sad is that the bicycle, the bicycle track race have been all. You know, we have very few leftover things from the '76 Olympics here, except the Olympic Stadium. That is always, even to this day in 2018. A huge controversy here in Montreal. We have the and you know, a few little things that are still there, but not a lot of it. But one thing that was cool, and I always enjoy, is when there was a Winter Olympics. With the Winter Olympics, they, you know, every time there's an Olympics somewhere, they turn on the torch, which is always kind of nice and kind of a nice gesture, I find, in the way they do it. Hey, I'm Mapper from Moscow. Sunday, let's talk about medium wave. I'm about to buy good portable medium wave receiver, something like an ICF EX5 MK2 or a Secret CC radio. Yeah, we don't talk a lot about medium wave, absolutely. And I actually have a question. And in some of the questions, I'm just going to get the pad because I left the pad over there. But our friend William that sent a lot of questions that he wants me to answer live. We've got some left from yesterday. So that's one of the questions. So we talked yesterday about New York Volmet, that's okay. We talked about the Texan receivers. Okay, so there is a question here, by the way, about the medium wave band, and he's wondering why there is such a difference in the propagation of signals from the daytime and nighttime paths on medium wave. And that's one of the things that he's curious about, and he's not the only one. I mean, anybody that is a little curious, you know, I remember when I was young, I always found it kind of intriguing when I didn't really understand anything. But it was intriguing to look at, oh, that's interesting. Why do I hear New York from Montreal at, you know, 10 p.m. when it's dark, and I don't hear it at 2 p.m. in the afternoon when it's sunny, you know? And, you know, pretty cool. So, kind of nice. And basically, the question just arises from the ionosphere. What happens with medium wave signals is that in the daytime, what you usually have as a signal that will propagate to you on a medium wave band is the ground wave signal. And you know, it's still light outside. An example of ground wave signal that I can hear here is 580 kHz. So let me just put that RF down because there's a lot of it. So 580. So I'm hearing CFRA. This is in Ottawa.
Join me, John Button, for Money Talk, a weekly roundup of Ottawa business news and market reports, plus investor interviews and opportunities you can take to the bank. Money Talk, presented in part by 9 Point Partners, Sundays at 1 p.m. on News Talk 580 CFRA.
I kind of like this. You know, you usually go to an AM or a medium wave station and you wait for hours before you get an ID. And now I just go there, random, and 2 IDs of CFRA 580. So that's a station in Ottawa, which is a little more than 100 kilometers to the west of Montreal, west-northwest. And so this is ground wave. And a typical day when the sun's up, what you will have is propagation on medium wave is ground wave, because the ionosphere is absorbing medium wave signals when the sun is up. So what happens is you have only the ground wave, which is the radio wave that goes along the ground, along the earth. And medium wave signals are a little different than FM signals. They tend to kind of be able to just do a little bit of curvature of the earth. So you might, in good conditions, even in the daytime here, easily a medium wave station 150 kilometers away, just because it is mostly line of sight, but there's some tendency for a little bit of curvature that's possible by following the ground, which is not present when you're listening to a VHF, UHF signal, which is very, line of sight, and once it's blocked by an object or by something, forget it, you can't hear. But once the sun is setting, what happens is you get and by the way, I'll say hello to Michael Place on the IRC chat. Once the sun is setting, what you have is that the ionosphere changes. In the daytime, the ionosphere is separated into some layers. It has a D layer. It has a F1, F2 layer. It separates in different layers in the daytime when the sun is up. The D layer, which is the lowest part of the ionosphere in the daytime, absorbs totally all the transmissions that are pretty much below 5 megahertz. On the medium wave band, which is around 1 megahertz, it's totally absorbed, so you don't have any propagation on that side. When the sun sets, the layers actually disappear, and it becomes one layer, pretty much just one layer. And when that happens, that D layer that usually absorbs medium wave is not there anymore. So now signals actually propagate a little bit like a shortwave propagation. It will bounce off the ionosphere and fall down a little further. Now the difference in this is also interesting, because now you might say, well, why don't we hear AM stations easily from, I don't know, 5,000 kilometers away, 5,000 miles away? It's because the bounce is at the lowest point of the ionosphere, so the bounce is not very big. It's not like a frequency that typically when you listen to shortwave frequency and you have the bouncing of the ionosphere, the higher the frequency, the higher the bounce, up to a point where it's going to actually go through space because it can't support anymore. So if you propagate at 20 megahertz, the bounce is much higher in the ionosphere and will fall down further away because you have more space for that. Depending on the angle also that you're broadcasting, you got more space and you got a bigger bounce. On the lower frequencies, the bounce isn't as big because it's lower. Medium wave stations are typically not broadcasting also like shortwave stations. Shortwave stations and amateur radio on the shortwave bands will, if they can, send the signal in a specific angle to try to maximize the distance. Medium wave stations are meant to be close by. That Ottawa station isn't interested in knowing that somebody from Montreal is listening much. They want to know that everybody in Ottawa is listening and around Ottawa. So basically, also the fact that they don't have the same type of pattern in the antennas makes it a little less probable that it'd go far away. But that said, you can listen into stations from really far away. You can DX Europe from North America or the other way around, totally. But it's really a change in the patterns and a change of the ionosphere that makes the medium wave signals propagate at night, not in the daytime. Okay, let's go down. We have Sheldon that says 2 requests for a sample CIDX bulletin, and 1 new member, Gerald, for 3 years. Cool. Let's hope that there's more and more of those. It's a nice club to be a part of, and really, really nice. Michael Place says, to be honest, don't receive any packages of radio anymore since I discovered the magic of SDRs. It doesn't make a difference for me. I love my SDR, but honestly, it doesn't change anything for me of getting new radios or new portable radios. I still have, there's magic and fun in an SDR, but I have still the magic and fun of using a little box that receives all in one little thing, a little package, shortwave signals. And suddenly Einstein says SDRs are not real radios. Well, they're real radios. They are radios. They're, you know, it's just that we use a computer to have them control. You know, that's the, instead of the knobs, you actually have the you know, the computer do all the controls. But an SDR is still a real radio. But you know, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't change at all the fact that I still like to have a little box in my hand with an antenna on it that I can enter frequencies and listen to, you know, shortwave stations. So I still, and I will still continue receiving little packages of radios personally, even though I would have a you know, even though I have an SDR and everything, honestly. Mick says, put in fries, cheese, and gravy. Can that be right? Yeah, but there's tons of variants today. You know, it's like, it's not just fries, cheese, and gravy. You can have a lot of different things. It's crazy. It's crazy today. I can tell you that. Putin sounds like illegal alcohol. Man. Hamad X Strong says, picked up a Grandic 2420 this afternoon. What a nice radio. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Putin is like Vegemite? Not really. Zach Antle, why is the stadium controversial? Because it is crazy expensive. It is, you know, in total, that stadium built for the 76 Olympics cost us something like $3.5 billion. And to put it in perspective, everybody else back then would have a stadium for a couple of $100 million. We had tons and tons of problems and things happening with that stadium here. So when you start talking about the Olympic Stadium, even today, we still does controversy here. And you know, and the first thing is everybody says, yeah, it cost us $3.5 billion because too many people were stealing everything. I mean, there were strikes. There were people working there that stole equipment. It was a disaster. Okay, it was a total disaster. And even when it was finished, it continued to be a disaster because they tried to put the roof, which was a retractable a roof, and it didn't work. And then they had another roof, which right now is making sure that we don't have anything in the wintertime, because when there was a big snowstorm, the roof, actually some snow fell through the roof and into the field down. So many problems and so many things. It's like a cursed stadium or something. So it always is very, very controversial, and even today it is. So yeah, Calvin, all you do is you just send an email, ask for the sample copy if you want, and you can use the PayPal, the Yahoo email, cidxclub@yahoo.com is also the PayPal link. You can send your contribution, $10 for a year, $25 for 3 years, through your PayPal, that same PayPal address. Paul B says, could you do a special on number stations? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That could be... and by the way, I want to just say one thing. If you guys have a suggestion of anything, you know, I have all the work here. What's the problem here is, you know, I have to always think about what are we going to talk about and try to find some material. You know, it might sound easy, and it isn't that difficult, honestly, for me. But you know, talking for 3 hours about the radio, you gotta talk about something. You know, I can't just stand there in front of the camera and say, "Hey, nice to have you on board." I got to talk about something, and of course the questions help. The chat room helps a lot because there's always questions popping up. But honestly, anybody that says, "Hey, you know what? I'd like you to do a special on whatever about radio," you know, ask away, because you're helping me out at the same time, getting ideas of what else I can talk about, and make sure that, you know, we're all having fun with radio and we talk about different subjects. It's fun to diversify and have every aspect of radio being explained here. So absolutely, number stations, that's a fun thing, you know, pirate radio. One thing that I want to bring back also is we'll have a special show on amateur radio, talking about amateur radio, what it is, how you become an AM radio operator, and all of that. And yes, I do need to get my AM license, absolutely, you know. So absolutely, we'll talk about all of that, and you guys can send me your suggestions what you want to. It's official shortwave radio at gmail.com. And hey, we're an hour and a half into the show, and I just want to take a little bit of time here to say that, you know, I love doing these things, and I take a lot of time preparing these shows. And you know, I spend, you know, 3 hours and a half yesterday. If we do 3 hours, 4 hours today, you know, it's 7 hours of live shows. It's, you know, it's a full day's work just talking and being live on the internet. Donations, you can send your donation at paypal.me, not com. Everybody just doesn't do the right one. It's paypal.me/shortwave. Or if you go to your PayPal, just send it to the Yahoo email you see here. And this is how you can send me a little contribution and help me out. Also, there's Patreon, where there's 8 patrons right now giving me a little something every month at patreon.com/radioandcomputers. That's hard to look at the screen and try to be in the right direction pointing something. So, you know what? You're helping me out tremendously by giving a little donation, a little something. It's nice to see. I've got a few donations yesterday. Thanks everybody that donated yesterday. Thanks to everybody that will donate today. And you know what? It helps me tremendously. Things are a little better for me at the with you know, YouTube and the monetization right now. I had a very rough 2017 at the beginning of 2017 for 6 months. You know what? Without the donations, I would not have been able to continue, honestly, with what I do. And the donations really helped me keep my head above water. So I want to thank everybody that had contributed in the past year. And you know what? Every penny, every dollar is spent in making this better and continuing this. And remember, as we were talking yesterday, there is no amount that is ridiculous or anything. I get these people sometimes, you know, sending me $1 and saying, you know what, I'm so sorry, I just have this to give. Don't be sorry. Every amount helps. $1 helps. Okay? I'd rather have regular $1 contributions than, you know, a one-time whatever amount that is much bigger but you'll never give again, or something, or, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever you do, whatever you give, whether you give once or you give 300 times, thank you for the contribution. And I'm especially trying to get here, you know, I get 1,000 views for the live shows and a little more than 24 hours. There's a lot of people in there that might be able to contribute, that love what I do, that love seeing my live shows even after it's recorded. Why not take the time? You know, I spend a lot of time doing this. It takes a lot of work and dedication. You know, Sheldon knows something about dedication, I can tell you that. That guy's been working hard with tons of things over the years. He's there every Sunday morning at the International Radio Report, which is a tremendous feat. I mean, you gotta, you know, I have the one good thing here is I don't have to get into, you know, a car or get into the subway or the bus and move to somewhere else and do a show for whatever time and then come back. I do it from home. That's at least one thing. But there's dedication. I mean, I'm here all the time. I rarely miss a show. It doesn't happen very often that I miss on a show. And, you know, that is hard work. Dedication. You gotta stay there. I do, you know, when I started thinking of doing live shows, one of the first things that was there is, if I do live shows, I gotta be serious about it. I can't do live shows just when I feel like I want to do one. It has to be a schedule. It has to be there. So, you know, don't forget about all of that, which I am happy to do. Sheldon, you know, and what he does with the International Radio Report and everything he's done through the year, including, you know, putting up with the CIDX Club and the Bulletin and everything, that requires tons of dedication. And you got to love that. You got to love that hobby to work hard like that. And same for me. I love the hobby. I wouldn't be doing these shows without it, without the fact that I love the hobby. So thanks everybody, and thanks for those that have donated, by the way. Dedication, that's the word. Michael Plays says, I bought one of these RTL SDR dongles for $20, including $124 for refurbished ThinkPad T430. Actually very like this setup and can even do some office stuff on it. That's cool, you know. I mean, it shows you one thing. It shows you that you don't need anybody that's interested in SDRs, by the way, you don't really need that strong of a computer. You know what's running this? This is my brother's old desktop computer. Okay, behind the screen here there's a huge HP desktop, which is an old Core 2 Duo machine. I don't know how many years it is. It's at least 6 or 7 years old. It's not super powerful. It has the crappiest graphics card I've seen, even for that age of a computer. But look at that. It's running HD SDR. It's running the Fedry SDR through my network. It is great and it works great. So it shows you that you don't need a lot of money to actually enjoy the hobby. Same for portable radios, honestly. Texan PL380, for example. You know, barely $40 and you've got a radio that is actually decent enough to get into the hobby of shortwave listening. So, you know. What else do we have? Navtex on 16805. Looks to be Argentina. 16805. Let's check it out if I hear it. Oh yeah, it's very weak. I hear it, but it's very weak. You can see it barely in the waterfall there. What's the other frequency for? What's the frequency for? I'm just searching for the other frequency that they use. Argentina Navtex. Oh, let's go to. I know where I'm gonna go to. Let's go to here. I believe I have the frequency list from EIBI. I'm just gonna do and search for Navtex. Okay. What's the other frequency for Argentina? Argentina. Guam. Oh, this one. 12579. 12579. Let's try that one. That's the one I usually hear. 12579. Not hearing anything. That's the one I usually hear. And it's supposed to be on. Oh, it's okay. We're 1639, so it's already stopped. So, I guess we're out of luck. So 16806. Yeah. Wow, it's interesting. on the schedule here, it's not there. What's the Navtex? Okay, Navtex schedule. We're at 21:39 UT. 21:39 UT. 16. That's interesting. I don't see it in the schedule. But you know, it's possible it's long. It's doing, you know, more than it did before. But wow, I do not see any schedule. But you know, Navtex are not on fixed schedules that are always. It's not like an international broadcast, I can tell you that. So, interesting. So it's possible that it's Argentina, totally. You hear it barely, 16,805. So if I go here, 16,805, I'm not even sure I'll be able to decode anything. We'll try it just for the fun of it. I'm going to go to the Navtex, and I see it barely here. I'm not even sure it's going to be decodable. It's too weak to be really decodable. It's way too weak, unfortunately. Barely making it here, 16,805. Thanks for the heads up. Thanks for the heads up. What else we have? So going down, I'm pretty far back. Going down the chat. Hi Mapper says, funny, in Russian the Canadian capital sounds like Ottawa. You pronounce it Ottawa. Indian word, right? Yep, it's an Indian word. Absolutely. Radioactive says, stronger Navtex on 12.577.5. I'll try it on 12.577. I hear something. It's there, but even that one is weak. Barely, you know. Let's try this one just for the fun of it. Can I decode it? Let's check it out. Okay, warning. We've got a little bit of text. It's not the best, but it got a little bit of text. Provincia de Tierra del Fuego. Yeah, that is Antarctica. That is definitely Argentina. That is definitely Argentina. Absolutely. Ned Antarctica and now, yep, patrolling. That is definitely the Argentina Navtex. So if you guys want to try that out, 12.577.5 upper sideband. That's kind of nice. Madrid DX, excellent explanation, Joe. One question though, how come I have had E-skip on the 10 meter band at night, even though ionosphere theoretically should not support high frequencies? Here's the thing. The higher frequency ranges, like the 10 meter band Madrid DXer, has another type of phenomena that actually can make propagation work. And it's called sporadic E-skip. Sporadic E-skip is different because, of course, in the nighttime, technically the 10 meter band is not much supported. Although, when solar activity is very, very, very high, sometimes in the summertime, you might be surprised at how it can propagate. But usually, the 10 meter band, when the sun sets, doesn't stay open very long, because the maximum usable frequency just really gets lower and lower quite fast. But there's a phenomenon called sporadic E-skip, and it's still part of a mystery. But there's all sorts of speculation of a mix of weather. So, for example, when the weather fronts go through, a lot of thunderstorms, the weather fronts and the thunderstorms. I've seen one of the things show up that the thunderstorms might be creating patches of ionized layers up in the atmosphere. Some explanation I've seen also is a mix of all sorts of phenomena, including meteors that might actually hit the atmosphere and create conditions that make very, very intense ionized patches. So that will propagate 10-meter signals in the middle of the night. They mostly occur in the summertime and around Christmas, but they can happen at any time, honestly. And they are patches, so that means technically when you have one of those happening, often you'll see that the propagation is from a specific area. So you have propagation one night, it's like, wow, 2 a.m. and I'm hearing stations on the 10-meter band. It's because 99% of the time it's sporadic E-skip. There's an ionized patch of the ionosphere that has been created by some phenomena, weather phenomena. And you know, I've noticed, honestly, I've personally noticed when we have these fronts going through, it's very, very hot in the summer. You have this front, really active front going through, and suddenly it's really cool. Often there's sporadic E-skip at the same time. So, you know, wouldn't be surprised that part of it is due to the weather patterns and the thunderstorms. So these can last anywhere from a few minutes to several hours. But often you'll see that you're hearing from a specific area. So, you know, you'll hear, for example, here when I get, you know, these sporadic E-skip in the summer, it's like, oh, wow, I'm hearing it, but I'm hearing, you know, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, maybe Virginia. Another time I'll hear the 10-meter band open in the middle of the night, but that time is going to be, oh, I'm hearing Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Florida. It's like, oh, it's down south now. Or, you know, it could be the Caribbean. Depends on where the ionized patches are. That explains much more why the 10-meter band can be open in the middle of the night, honestly. Sorry. So, Dave Todd, absolutely. Nice to have you here. It says AM stations are very directional. Very often they have a pattern. Absolutely, they are very directional. Absolutely. 2 hands on the radio. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Bobby Burgess, what was about a false alarm at the bar? Oh, there was a weird thing happening with the computers there. Radio Romania 6170 right now. Let's check it out. 6170 Romania. Yep, pretty good signal too.
A project with delicacy, diplomacy, and with less ego and amends. These are qualities to be used.
Ada Solon has produced and co-produced over 50 movies, which won over 180 awards at film festivals all over the world. She is the producer of the feature film Out of Love with the Best Intentions by Adrian Citaro, which won 2 awards in 2011 in Locarno, as well as the movies by Rado Juve, Everyone in Our Family, which got the Heart of Sarajevo Awards in 2012, the Bayard d'Or Grand Prize, and the Best Leading Actor Award at the Namur IFF Aferin, which was nominated in over 30.
So Radio Romania with a good signal in English, 6170 kilohertz. Yeah, they are. We've got Calvin, 1-year membership. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Danny Shortwave Radio DX says Olympics are a drain on the host country. Absolutely. They cost so much money. Ethan Best, nice to have you here. Yeah, thank you for the nice shirt compliment. Tom Petty. Tom Petty. One of my favorite, probably one of my, Tom Petty is in my top 10 list of artists that I would bring on the desert island. Absolutely. Man. MDK2 says, speaking of numbers and number stations, Harry Wonder invited him to contribute to the Numbers and Oddities newsletter. You know what? It's funny because I was looking at the Numbers and Oddities newsletter one day and noticed that some of the logs of when I post, for example, a number station post on YouTube, were actually making it to the bulletin, and I didn't even know about it. Calvin says, I had to explain to my lecturer for my project in college what sending and decoding messages had to do with shortwave. He didn't know about number stations at all. Huh, interesting. Oh, man. Zach Antol says, I'm just imagining an alternate universe where instead of radios, this is a makeup channel. So it's pretty cool. We've got some new members for the CIDX Club. Really, really nice. Jet Simon, I assume my donation I made a few months back went through. The email associated with my PayPal is no longer valid. I'll get you on the Patreon soon. No problem. No, yeah, problem. You know, your donations go through. Absolutely. What else do we have? Hey, my friend, hi from Russia today. Got a QSL card from radio station KBS World Radio. Oh, nice. Do they still have really beautiful QSL cards? I mean, I haven't had a QSL from KBS World Radio in a long time, but I have a lot of them. I've had some from the 70s, from the 80s and the 90s, and wow, just, you know, really really cool. Shell, you should make a QSL card. Yeah. Oh man. Rock Restaurante says, if shortwave was a religion, then the World Radio TVN would be the Bible and Jid will be the high priest. I like that. I want to be the priest of shortwave. Hey, we've talked that in the past. Calvin, do you ever use the Soft 66 anymore? It was in a raffle, Calvin. I guess he wasn't there when it happened. I actually somebody won it at a raffle in the live show when was it? Last summer or something? I don't remember. Chris Freitas, thank you very much for the donation. I will be checking that out, absolutely. Thanks, everybody. XNADX Kevin says 11 seconds delay here. So, nice to have you on board, everybody. Pretty cool. So, Calvin, yes, I probably, you know, let me, if you guys want to make sure that everything went through, I did receive a number of donations that I can verify and make sure that you guys, if you guys want to really make sure that your donations went through, I can check it out right now. Just go on the place. I don't want to take too much time out of that, but I want to thank everybody that have donated, by the way. You guys are great and helps me a lot. So very quickly, if I look at donations, there we go. So I have received Mick Holland. Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. And let me just check. So I received from Mick Holland. Okay. I have received. Sorry, I'm just going to go back to my summary or activity. Sorry. Okay, Mick Holland, Chris Freitas, thank you very much. William Mead, thank you very much. Calvin, absolutely, thank you very much. Igor, Ralph Bender, David Green, Carol Tracy, John Clinton. So thanks very, very much for your contributions, guys. It's immensely welcome. Helps a lot. Is my camera auto-focusing? Focusing? What's focusing? I have the impression of the, you know, the movie Meet the Fockers? Focusing. I'm going to check it out here. I usually turn off the autofocus, but source settings, HD, config, and yes, you're right, it's in off autofocus mode. So thanks for letting me know. I always turn off autofocus. Autofocus? What the hell am I saying autofocus for? Autofocus? And it should be okay now. Thanks for letting me know, by the way, guys, because sometimes you know what's the problem with the camera is that it's always you know, it's always off. But if I use the camera to do something else and the autofocus is on, it stays on. So when I get back to the live shows, I don't know, but the autofocus is on. And I gotta say, with this camera, if there's one thing that's annoying, is autofocus, because it's always, you know, trying to focus on something. So thanks for letting me know, by the way. Okay, we're gonna go down really, really fast because I'm kind of probably 3 kilometers behind. So, Alexei from Russia, nice to have you here in Moscow. IMAPPers in Moscow, really nice, really nice. So, what else do we have? What else do we have? 10 meters open right now. Let's check it out. So, I'm gonna go to. I always check out, you know, my way of checking it out is to see if there's sporadic E-skip. If I hear sporadic E-skip, if I hear channel 6 is open and alive with CB, 10 meters open. So it depends. But, you know, sporadic E-skip is very, very specific, so it could be open to a specific area but not another. So, you know. Judd says, we almost at the lowest point of 10-year solar activity, and this hurts the 10-meter band. It hurts the 10-meter band for regular day-to-day usage, but it's surprising, and especially in the summertime, when actually it can still be open. Hey, take care, PLF Raider. It was nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. John Smith, hello there. I have some questions as newbie, if you don't mind. Please, please, we're here for that. Ask the questions. Fabrice Simonet, bonjour, bienvenue. Canadian Outdoors, does pre-om schedule really work? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I can tell you that. The pre-om schedules actually do work. I've used them many, many times to track number stations. But you got to understand one thing, Canadian Outdoors, is that a lot of them are not very powerful. A lot of them are very specific at the target area. And, of course, you got to remember that there's a day and night pattern thing. And that's one of the questions that maybe we can answer. It's, for example, let's just look at it here. Gray Line Map database. So here's the Gray Line map. This is where it's right now, and this is live right now, where it's daytime and where it's nighttime around the world. You got to understand that, you know, in the nighttime part of Earth, usually shortwave frequencies you'll listen to are lower. In the daytime, they'll be higher. So if you've got a station that's broadcasting in the middle of the night and you're really in the middle of the daytime, say the west coast of North America right now, and there's a station in Africa on 6 megahertz, forget it. You're not getting that in California right now because there's too much daylight from that area. If it was totally darkness path, possibly. Or if the darkness is soon to arrive, possibly. So you got to really, really remember that also when you are actually listening to shortwave stations. But the pre-om schedules totally work. Another thing you got to remember: some schedules are not, you know, it's not like an international broadcaster that will be there 7 days a week, every day at the same time. You have to remember that some of these number stations are there only specifically at specific time, and if there's a message to carry. So maybe there's no message that day. So you know, it's interesting. Shortwave France is listening to the Bangkok airport in upper sideband. Quelle fréquence? What frequency you're listening to? John Smith, I have a Texan PL 380 and I'm having trouble picking up any transmissions. I'm in the north of the UK. Is there hardly any propagation in this area? Okay, it's a question, you know what? It's a question of noise, probably. One thing you got to know is that there's, especially in the UK, you guys in the UK have much more to listen to on international broadcast easily than we here in North America, because there's still a lot of stations in your target area, and you guys are lucky because there's a lot of transmissions coming from Africa that are actually propagating well to you guys in Europe. So it's a question of what time you're listening and what you're trying to pick up. If you're trying to listen to the shortwave bands at noon and midday, it's one of the worst periods for shortwave, actually. So remember that it's not at 11 a.m. or noon or 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. that you're going to listen to the majority of what's happening on shortwave. Late afternoon and evening will be the best times you will have transmissions directed to your target area also. So it's a question of make sure you listen to the right frequency at the right time. It's a question of, do you have a lot of noise around you? Have you just by any chance got outside, farther away from houses, maybe a park or something, and see if you pick up more stations? That is one thing that you'll know. For example, if I would do, I'll do a great example right now. Okay, I'm going to get my PL380 out, which is right here, and we're going to do a ETM scan. Okay, I'm going to use the telescopic antenna. We're going to do an ETM scan, which is, finding signals on shortwave. So here we are. Okay, my PL380 is here. I'm going into shortwave bands. Here we go. And I'm going to ask it to do a ETM scan. Okay? So we're going to put it here. Okay? I'm going to let it do its job. And if I hear at one station, I'll be lucky. Okay? And the reason is lots of noise inside. While I'm doing these shows with like tons of computers, I've got right now 3 computers turned on. I've got a Linux laptop with a chat room. I've got a Toshiba laptop with Windows 10 for the stream. I've got a desktop turned on right there in the back of the screen, plus all the electronics and all this stuff that's in here. So basically, this is creating a lot of noise, and that might be one of the biggest problems you've got with your PL380. And it's unfortunate, but the noise levels is our enemy. A very, very big enemy that we have right now. We got to deal with the fact that we got to listen to shortwave. There's a little less propagation, a little less, not as many stations as there used to be, 20 years ago, but higher noise level at the same time. And it's creating an environment where it's more of a challenge to listen to shortwave. So that is where it's very, very a little complex, basically, to explain why am I not receiving or hearing anything when I am going to tune around my receiver, for example. So it's doing its ETM scan, and right now it hasn't even found one station. So it gives you an idea, and it's right here, smack in the middle, and it hasn't found anything. So it just gives you an idea. But if I do the same scan, and that's something you can try, if I do that same scan in the kitchen, which is the quietest environment in my home, even though it's still noisy, it's still quieter in noise than this office. This office is terrible. I would not be listening to my SDR if it wasn't that there's a coax cable that goes to the antenna in the backyard. Because here it's impossible to receive almost anything. There's just too much noise in this place. In the kitchen, it would probably receive a little more. It's still, it still hasn't found a signal. It's still completely dead. So it shows you. It's try to do the same thing, but go outside. Try to do it outside. Go at a park. Go a little farther away from, houses, and you might actually be surprised that suddenly your radio comes alive with a lot more signals. Unfortunately, I do understand that listening from the comfort of your home and your living room is just fantastic. And if we would live in a perfect world, it'd be absolutely marvelous to be in your favorite chair in your living room with a little portable radio, listening to whatever broadcast. Fortunately, that's not the days we live in anymore. In the 80s, the 70s, that was the case. Not anymore. So, be patient. And that little box, that little Texan PL380 you've got, can do miracles. It's an amazing receiver. But you just got to hang in there and try different ways. Try to put a little piece of wire, in a window or outside if you can, and see if by, extending that antenna with a piece of wire makes it better. All of these little things you can try to do, but noise is probably the #1 reason why a radio will not receive anything most of the time. Coco M. Nice to have you here. It's late afternoon here. It's 5:04 p.m. right now. So nice to have you here. Really enjoyed your show yesterday. Wanted to ask your thoughts on the Texan PL 660 versus 680. I'm an avid fan of all things shortwave and number station. Both radios are great. Personally, I've got the 680. I would go to the 680. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, but if you get a 660 or a 680, both of them are great radios. You will enjoy them a lot. I love my 680, which is right here. This is my 680. Just love it. Even though I had some little issues, frequencies off, the encoder jammed, I would buy another one. I love this radio a lot. It's one of the nice receivers. One negative side of the 680, it has low audio in single sideband mode, which I believe the 660 is not a problem with. So, and no problem, David Arden. It's not always easy, huh? Today's life is so expensive. I mean, it's crazy. John Smith, I believe it was connected to the Middle East. 11,812,000. Yeah, 11,820, Saudi Arabia. So let's just go down here. 11,820, Saudi Arabia usually. It's not that strong right now, but it's there. With the Holy Quran. So it's just crazy. Bonne nuit, WL France. Take care. But they are great receivers. So look at that. It actually found no stations in ETM. So you have an idea here. I'm not getting anything. And it's not because there's nothing to listen to. There's actually some stations. And you can see it because I can receive them here on the on my SDR. But if I do the same thing, I would go outside in the park not far from here and do the ETM. I can bet you I'd have 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 stations that would pop up and it would say, oh, well, look at that, there's a lot of things to listen to. Unfortunately, noise is probably your #1 enemy. And making sure that you listen to the one of the good times during the day, not 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Signals tends to be a little weaker in the midday, but late afternoon, evening, that should bring some transmissions. Did my wire pick up more noise rather than transmissions? John Smith, that is totally possible. Because if your wire is near a source of noise, it's going to pick up that noise and amplify that noise even more. Okay? So, oh, you're Igor. Hi, Mapper. You're Igor. Nice to have you. So, yes, wire antennas can, in some cases, amplify the noise. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, it's very, very, very sad to sometimes that, we have so much noise. And, today is just crazy, the noise that we've got on the radios, unfortunately. Okay. David Arden says, love going to the park, noise goes away down. Absolutely. Same here. I mean, I take a walk to the local park here. And, man, I suddenly hear things I don't even hear at home. It's just crazy. So, it is so much better outside. I couldn't tell what I was listening to, but it sounded Middle Eastern. It was very pleasant. I believe it was 11,815. Yeah, probably 11,820. There's a Middle Eastern. There's a station in Saudi Arabia. Richard in Atlanta says, can you hear what may be a digital mode on 6876? Let's check it out. 7876. I'll keep an ear on it, but I'm not hearing anything right now. Not really hearing anything right now. Radio Saudi Arabia, yeah. Chris Little, hello there. Nice to have you here. Yeah, it's 11/8/20 usually for Saudi Arabia. So nice to have you here, Chris Little. Yeah, absolutely. I do have a video that explains how to kind of find out if there's more or less noise and where it might be better listened to in your home, for example. And well, you know what, Chris Freitas, it's welcome, and you know, and like I said, you know, no sweat. You know, life is expensive, and we don't always have the we don't always have the money to donate or do something, you know. It's just crazy. Calvin, is there any website that you can do a search for stations targeted towards where you are? You know what? For English language, one of the best websites is Primetime Shortwave, because so let's go here and do Primetime Shortwave, which is right here. Primetime Shortwave, look at that. On the left side, so primetimeshortwave.com. On the left side, you've got shortwave schedules to Africa, to America, to Asia, to Europe. So for example, if I would like to know what's on that is for America, I would click to America. And now I have only the transmissions that are for America. So we're at 2200 right now. What is there at 2200 to America? So, you know, WBCQ 7490, WHRI, anything else? We have 6090 out of Anguilla. We have WWRB 3215. And we even have WRMI with AWR at 2230. So, you know, this is giving me the different stations that could be something I can hear in my target area. So you choose whatever area. It's English language only, but it does work very well. I believe some of the websites like short-wave.info and shortwave.am has maybe a way of searching for what is in your target area, for example. 17480 right now for HM01. Anything there? Yep. It is there, 17480 for the Cuban number station right now. So let's check it out. Ethan Best hearing something on 26820 in FM. Okay, can you describe? It could be. I'll come back to that a little later. This is the number station from Cuba. There's a lot of things happening in the vicinity, 26820. There's a lot of small, you know, FM transmitters that sometimes wireless microphones. You know, I've seen a lot of reports of people hearing, for example, churches, local churches that have an FM transmitter, stuff like that, around the 26800, 900 range. There's a lot of little things. There are CBers in FM mode, so there could be some CBer that's dabbling in an FM mode in your area. A lot of little things around there. It all has to do with whatever you're hearing. What are you actually listening to? So Canadian outdoor sticks. Southern Ontario. All of here is Cuba. No, there's more than that. If you're if you move into or go outside into an area where it's quieter, you will hear much more than just Cuba, I can tell you that. Nathan Pretovsky, All India Radio on 99.10 in Australia. Cool. David Arden says, shortwave bands were always full in the daytime when I lived in Europe. Nostalgia. Europe has much more things to listen to even in the daytime. You know, when I look at the schedules and I see you know, these transmissions in different times for Europe. I'm almost jealous of you guys in Europe, you know, just crazy. John Smith says, yes, when I did the ETM scan at midday, took a long time and found very little, absolutely. But in the evening, and if you're outside where it's less noisy, you will see that that ETM mode can actually really receive much more. So, you know. Richard Cook's got a really strong MT carry on 9570. Hey, David in Barcelona. Nice to have you on board, my friend. As always. Thanks for sharing my video, Calvin. It was very, I tried to do it in the simplest way possible. DX Place, nice to have you on board. Always cool to have everybody here. Chris Freitas says 680 are fantastic. I'm falling in love again now that I have a PL 660. They are great radios. Great radios. They are absolutely great radios. Calvin says, still have my PL 680, no problem. It's great radio, found on SSB by pressing the bandwidth button. It brings up the audio level a lot. So yeah, if you put the bandwidth larger, maybe, but you know what, my PL 680, and I think that may be why the encoder jammed, because I don't know what they are using in the encoder in there, but I think one of the reasons why I had an issue with mine is that I left it out in the sun, and it was a pretty warm day, so you know, when you touch it, the radio is black, so you know it absorbs a lot of heat. So I believe, you know what, that oil, whatever they're using, the lubricant in the encoder might jam or something. So, you know. The way you can share an image is to upload it to one of those image things, and then share the link to it. If you have Dropbox, anything, there's a lot of ways you can actually upload an image to some place, and then you share the link to it. That's probably the best way to share an image here. David Green. David in Barcelona says, problem now for us city dwellers is that we're in a solar low, noise is a problem, but at least if propagation carburetes, it's still possible to DX. Yeah, it's, you know, it's always a little complicated. But one of the things Richard Cook says, get lots of stations on ETM on its PL310 ET. But one of the things that's obvious for you, Richard, is that you have a lot less noise than all of us. That is one thing that I do see, because when I see your reports of what you can receive, one thing is obvious. You have less noise than a lot of us. You have less noise than I have here. I can tell you that. So, you know. Chris Ray says WBCQ is on 7490 right now. Let's see, can I hear it? Probably propagating over me as usual. Oh, it's there. It's there, not bad. I'm hearing it. That's 9 plus 20 right now. 7490. Some music. WBCQ. Oh man. Okay, now there says I have the PL660. I have the same problem with the tuning knob and sometimes the power button for the knob. I put a small drop of sewing machine oil on. Yeah, it's you know, these are great radios. The next place, anyone tested out MFJ Norse Cancer? It uses an antenna indoors and one outdoors, nulling out the noise and antenna receivers. I've seen varying reports of some people saying it's fantastic and some people saying it doesn't do anything. I'm wondering if it's not dependent on the type of noise you might have in order to cancel it. But I've seen some people say, wow, it's worked wonders, and I've seen people say, nah, it doesn't. So I don't know what to think. No problem, Calvin. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Let's go down the list. SDR stuff. What are the wrenches for? They are moderators, SDR stuff. It means these people can kick out anybody that is undesirable. Hey, Vianney Arsenault. Salut. Nice to have you here. Y'a pas de problème. I know when there's people around. There's people around, but it's nice to see you on board from the eastern part of the province of Quebec, in the Gaspésie area. And no worries, you know, it's we can't always be there all the time. Can't always be there all the time. What else do we have? What else do we have? Hey, I'm down the list now. Pretty cool. Yeah, well, let's not talk about those, Calvin. It's surely going to show up at some point. So, another question I've got from William. Where is the CB band? Can I hear it with a shortwave radio? Well, if you've got a general coverage receiver, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because it starts, channel 1 is 26965. So here we are. This is channel 1 of the CB band. And the channel 40 is at 27405. So 26965 to 27405. And you've got in there the 40 channels of the CB band. But of course, there's a larger than life CB band, if you want, with the out of band guys that are anywhere from 26,000 all the way to 28,000 kilohertz. So, you know, it's that's where it is, honestly. John Smith, have you ever read any of the Passport to World Band radio books? That was one of my favorite books that I ever had in life. Passport to World Band Radio, it was an amazing publication. It was something that I probably purchased at least, I'd say, a good 10 to 12 years in a row. It was that was a book I was looking forward every year. Passport to World Band Radio, was so happy to get that book all the time. I miss that publication terribly. It was beautifully done. And you know, in the time, because let's face it, that publication has one thing that, and the internet probably hurt that publication a lot, because the blue pages, which had all the schedules, even though they would get outdated over time, still was a nice ad. And it was nice because you could look at, you know, the transmissions from the different stations through that blue pages, even though, like I said, they would get outdated over the year. But boy, I missed that. And what I actually love about the Passport to World Band Radio, it was a nicely done publication that would talk about shortwave and had a lot of radio reviews, and their radio ratings were very, very nice. So you could, you know, open up and say, oh, okay, that radio is 3 stars. You know, I'd like to see a Passport to World Band Radio out today, and comparing the Texan receivers and the Degen receivers and all of these radios that, you know, didn't exist really much when that was alive, you know. I'd like to see that, but man, I miss Passport to World Band Radio a lot. It was one of the great radio publications out there. That was the book. If there was one book I would purchase every year, that was the book. I always loved it. Always loved it. Richard Cook says, don't jinx. Chris Freitas also. Oh, God. Yeah, you know, most of them actually have the out-of-banders. Most of them have the decency of staying out of the 10-meter band. But, yep, there are some that just don't care. Richard, unknown data transmission on 5434. Let's check that out. Do I hear anything here? Nothing much.
0.80.
That's Aeronautical Communications.
455.
5550. That's Link. That's the NATO Link 11, something like that. 5178. Look at that strong signal here. I believe it's WBCQ 5130.
The Lord thunders, the voice of the Most High. Now, no one seemed to grasp why John was told not to write them down.
It's that girl molester and... Anyways, I'll stay at that comment of Brother Steer on 5130. I'll be sure. 8, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Always nice to have all of you on board. Pretty cool. Michael Play says, I know actually a German site which shows all the frequencies of the CB channels. Yeah, there is a because there's a band plan, you know. I mean, 26965 channel 1, 26. What did I say? 26965 channel 1, 26975 channel 2, and so on. There are a few gaps in there for radio control stuff and all of that, but you know, you got the 40 channels in there. The World Radio TV Handbook 2018 is out. It's been out since December, Calvin. Is it worth buying? It depends on what you are wanting as information. I don't have the 2018, but just to show you guys, I'm going to get my 2017 here. So this is the 2017 I purchased off of Sheldon, which is also has Radio HF stuff. This is the 2017 that I've got here. So basically what it has is, first of all, there's a little bit of radio reviews at the beginning. So if you want to know a little bit, radio reviews, maps of transmitter sites, some, you know, information about different things that of shortwave stations and so on. There's a article on the Mighty KBC, for example. Then it's mostly information about what all the transmissions that exist around the world in FM, AM, shortwave, all the details of the contact information by country, frequency list, schedule of shortwave stations. So there's national, international radio and from around the world. It is great as a reference for all the information for contacting whoever you need to contact in whatever information you want to have about stations. For that, it is amazing. It is a great publication. It's what it's not, and I'll probably have people bashing again on me because every time I say that, say, well, don't say that. It's not a frequency guide, okay? I don't use the World Radio TV Handbook as a frequency guide, honestly. I use it more for the information of contact, power output, transmitter sites, lots of details of everything from every station from around the world in here. And it is very, very, very nice for that. But it is not, you know, frequency guide. Go on the internet and check out the list of frequencies if you want to have frequencies. You'll have much more accurate and up-to-date information. But for all the information that it could give you about all the details, you're searching for that elusive QSL you've never got from whatever. You know, you'll have not only the station contact, you'll have the email, you'll have even the name of who might be the best person for you to contact to get the info and so on. For that, it is amazing. So it's up to you. And, you know, I believe that anybody that never bought a World Radio TV Handbook and you're a serious shortwave radio listener, it's worth buying it from time to time to have the information in it. It's still a nice one, you know. But it's not like, you know, it doesn't replace the Passport to World Band, which was very unique in the way that what it brings us in the schedules, you know. MDK2 says, when I got into the hobby, I was able to check out the final edition of Passport from my library. I was so bummed to find out that it discontinued. It looked like a great resource. It was a great resource. It was a great resource, but because it was because it was, you know, a lot of schedules and a lot of information like that. And, you know, schedules, you get them on the internet now, up to date to the almost every day. Radio reviews, you got tons of YouTube channels, you know, like mine that review radios. And there's websites like shortwavelistening.com where there's tons of reviews of radios. Of course, it creates much more of a problem, you know, for a publication like that, because its competition is really the internet. The World Radio TV Handbook has that side to it. It's that its direct competition is not so the internet. Even though the internet is a great resource of news and information, the World Radio TV Handbook still has an edge on who and where and how you contact people. It's harder to find contact information on the internet for shortwave stations. The World Radio TV Handbook, you know, if I tomorrow morning want to write to a station that I've heard, the contact info and the emails in here, I'm gonna open this. I'm not gonna go on the internet and say, what's the email to Radio Banana, you know? I'll go here and find Radio Banana and I'll have a contact email. I'll probably even have the you know, the person to contact to have my QSL. And for that, this is a very amazing resource. And I do think that owning one is a nice add to your hobby. And, you know, you have a few radio reviews, you have a few insights on some shortwave stations. There's you know, propagation and, you know, HF broadcast reception conditions expected in the year and so on. There's, you know, all sorts of things. There's maps of transmitter sites, which are very accurate, and so there's a lot of stuff in there. It's you know, I buy it from time to time. I don't buy it every year. It's not like the passport. The passport I would buy every year. This I purchase every few years. The last this is 2017. The last one I had before was the 2014 or 13 or something like that. So you know. But it is nice for contact information, all the information, the information you've got. So what else do we have? Fabrice says, guys, do people give a strange look sometimes when doing a listening session in the park at the long wire? Man, you know what? It's a what? Yeah, it's Fabrice, it's totally like that. I will, you know, when I set up at Perry Island for the expeditions, it's just crazy. I mean, the amount of people that walk by and just look at you, and you know, I've got all my setup on the table, and I've got, you know, 100, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 feet of wire going through trees. And you see the people, they look at my setup, they look at me, and then they start looking at the wire going through the tree. And they're like, okay, what is that? And I always have that story about the bitch cop that I had once. Where, because, you know, in that park there's a lot of, let's say, over the years that I've been there, you could see a lot of unusual things happening, let's just say that. So lately in the past 2 years there's been a lot of visits by the cops through the park. So when I go to the expeditions in the past 2 years, there's been at least, the cops probably visit the island about 5 or 6 times in one afternoon. And because that park cannot be reached by car. The only way you can go to the island, the Perry Island, is bicycling or walking. Cars are not allowed. And 2 years ago, the cops go by, and there's this woman cop, and she stops and she says, "What are you doing?" And so I try to explain I'm listening to shortwave and what shortwave is, but she doesn't care. You know, she's like in bitch mode. So she starts, you know, like asking these questions, and I say, "Look, I'm doing nothing wrong, and you know, I stay calm. I try to stay calm, but she like calls up, you know, or she calls somebody at the police station saying, "Hey, this guy's got wires and trees. Is there some, you know?" It's like, you know, is there some ticket I can give that guy because he's doing something? It's like, you know, in my head it was like, man, you know, why don't you go annoy somebody else, you know? But anyways, that's the story of the bitch cop. I talked about it a lot, I can tell you that. But Perry Island is nice. It's isolated, and it's a very, very nice thing. Yeah, Southern Illinois stand, Brother Lying Scare. It's even worse, you know, when at the International Radio Report, one of the things we talked about last week was how the girl that was, you know, harassed by Brother Stare, she was so in the Overcomer Ministry studios while he was doing a show. It's like, what the hell? I gotta say, Brother Monastery, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I still am keeping my. I still am keeping my little side of, you know what? I'm sorry, but WBCQ, for example, hearing him right now. And when I hear Alan Wiener doing a prayer to God and so on, I got a big trouble with that. Because, I'm sorry, that guy, you even have a YouTube video showing what he's did. And you know what he's done. And I got to say one thing. You still take dirty cash because it's money. And you still have that guy on the air. I'm sorry, but that's, for me, very, very... It's a very low side to the human race. It's a... You have no moral... you know... I'm sorry. You're taking dirty cash. I just gotta say one thing. That's it. Oh, John Young. I'm not gonna repeat that because I don't want to do controversy, but yeah, you know. MDK2 says, I wonder if WBCQ's new 500 kilowatt transmitter will just blast Brother Monastery all over the world. I hope not. I really hope not. I can tell you that. I really hope not. That's crazy. Crazy. Of course, nobody hears of him except if you're a Shortwave listener. You know, crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. Going down. Going down. Yeah, it's rather not we talk about politics or things like that. Absolutely. We're here to talk about our hobby and our fun hobby. You know. Yeah, Judd, you know, you need money to be on WRMI, so it's still in the works. It's still something I want to do. Gotta hang in there on the possible transmissions. I'd like to be on WRMI and maybe other stations and doing something. But the reason it's taking time to take form is if I do it, I don't want to do it in like after 3 weeks not be able to continue because I don't have the cash to pay every week for the transmission airtime. The day I'm going to be on WRMI doing something is because I know that I'll have the possibility to pay for it for a long time and be there for a long time. So that's the thing. David Arden's got the 2018 World Radio TV Handbook as a Christmas gift. Love it. So, you know. Well, nice. Richard Cook's receiving Vietnam directly from Vietnam. and not a relay. That's nice. That's nice. You know, it depends on everybody. Like, you know, MDK2 says they're worth it, you know, supporting every year. And yeah, possibly, you know. We got to understand one thing. World Radio TV Handbook is one of the last publications that exist that deals with, in big part, to the shortwave broadcasting. So, you know, there is that commitment also. World Radio TV Handbook, buying every year, absolutely. You know, it's a couple of years back, they were kind of in a situation where they didn't know if they would continue or not, you know. Chris Freda says, Radio Banana, do you have split transmissions? It's a good one. Oh, God. Oh, man, you know, it's crazy. Cosmic Lettuce says, I imagine that listening to shortwave ham radio in public is a lot like looking through a telescope in public. People are curious, and if they ask what I'm doing, I invite them to look. No, it's actually weirder. Cosmic Lettuce, you know what? When you have a telescope in a park, for example, pretty much everybody knows that you have a telescope. You know? And I have a great story, by the way, with that in a few seconds. And you guys better listen, it's really a good one. So, most people know you got a telescope. And so, you don't look weird. You look like, oh, look at that. That guy's looking at the stars through a telescope. But shortwave radio is, what the hell that guy's doing with 100 feet of wire in trees? I don't get it. Because that, they have no clue at all what it is. And it's different for that reason. So here's a story about me and a friend, okay? And you guys are going to laugh your head off. So, okay. Me and a friend of mine, we decide that we go to, so we got an air base here in Canada that is located here in Quebec, that's located in the northeast part of Quebec, and we go there. We go there to one day because there's a lot of things we want to see, and we've got like a pass to visit the air base and everything. But on the night before we do that, in the afternoon, we set up a telescope because we're like in the middle of the woods, and the first thing that you want to do is, oh, let's look at the stars. There's no lights here. We're in the middle of nowhere. But we're really close to the Air Force base that is over there. And the guy has a really huge telescope. I mean, it looks like a rocket launcher. And where we are, we actually see on that day several times the F-18s, the Canadian F-18s, flying overhead really fast. So it is maybe 6 or 7 p.m. and it's the summer, so it's still light out. And we suddenly get like a bunch of MPs, military personnel that get, military police, but, a bunch of military trucks that arrive. They are panicked because somebody in one of the F-18 said, it looks like a rocket launcher pointed at the Air Force base in the middle of the woods. The guys are all nervous, and like they have their hands on the guns and everything. It's like, we're just looking at the stars. I was like 19 or 20 years old at the time. I still remember that. It's like, yeah, you know what? I gotta say your telescope does somewhat look like a rocket launcher. And yeah, we might be pointing in the direction of the Air Force base. Oh God, what a story. Anyways, they arrived, we talked, oh, that's a telescope and everything, and they kind of relaxed, and finally was just great, and they went away. And it's like the guy said when they left, they were said like don't do that because it's like very sensitive, and We don't really know. If you want to listen, if you want to watch the stars, go watch them somewhere else. Yeah, okay. We're next to the. Yeah, I know. We're next to the Air Force Base. I understand that it looks very mysterious. And when he said it looks like a rocket launcher, it was like, it does look like a rocket launcher. I never thought of that because I'm not a military guy. So for me, it was a telescope. But suddenly it's like, yeah, it does look like a rocket launcher. I have to say, it does. Oh, God. Well, you know what? The Passport to World Band radios, John Smith, are not anymore. You know, they don't exist anymore. So I don't see the bad thing in getting PDFs. If you do get Passport to World Band radios PDFs, I'd love to have them. Absolutely, John. You know, it's not like the World Radio TV Handbook, which is a book that exists right now. That would be a bad thing. But, you know, I don't see where it's bad in the old books, honestly. Nathan Petrosky, the cop, ended up being frustrated because she couldn't do anything. But obviously, she was totally annoyed at me for some reason. And she was looking everything. She even wanted to look at my bag. And when she tried to, I said, whoa, you need a warrant to see what's in my bag. And you better have one if you want to see what's in here. Because, you know what? I can deal with the nonsense that's happening right now, but I will not deal with my rights being, you know, thrown away because of a bitch cop. And when she saw I was deadly serious about, you know what, if you do that, I am going to do much more. I will fight it off, and I'll take a lawyer if I need it. And she kind of backed off at that moment because she saw that, okay, you've been annoying me for 45 minutes. My patience is really, really kind of getting to the limit. Let's just stop right there, okay? It's going to be better like that. Better for her, better for me. Oh, man. Crazy. Crazy. MDK2 says, I was considering a monthly donation WBCQ, but seeing that they don't actually have money troubles. Well, they don't have money troubles if they do have the plan for a 500 kilowatt transmitter. And they are keeping, you know what? They are keeping Brother Stare on. It's something I'm not fond of much. I gotta tell you that. Who's paying for that fancy new transmitter anyway? You know, and Sheldon Harvey, there's a lot of talk last weekend of Winterfest about how WBCQ is getting a new antenna and 500 kilowatt transmitter. Countries can afford shortwave stations, can't afford shortwave stations, probably what you meant. Yet these guys are getting this equipment. How? Same question, you know what? When I posted a video of how WBCQ needed help, it sounded like they needed help. Now they're getting that 500 kilowatt transmitter. And I'm kind of wondering, how the hell you get a 500 kilowatt transmitter? That 500 kilowatt transmitter, I don't think it costs like, you know, $1,000 or $2,000. That costs much more than that. And you'll be able to, and imagine the power that you're going to use to transmit 500 kilowatts on shortwave. Where the hell are you getting the money for that? I have the same question. The same question. You know? Really crazy. So, it's crazy. Really crazy, honestly. Chris Freitas says, thankfully WRMI was one of the first stations to distance themselves from Stare, and that took courage, as they probably... Oh, they had a big chunk of revenue, absolutely, from Stare. That they were everywhere. Stare was everywhere. You know? Matter of the Xer says, telescope launcher. Rocket Man, yeah, Rocket Man. Oh, man. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. It's just crazy. Two Hands on the Radio says, WBCQ is passing the hat for money after the transmitter fire just a few months ago. Wow. You know, that's where, I don't know, and it's sad because you know what? I did my part. I said, okay, I'm going to do my part. I did do a donation to WBCQ. I did put up a YouTube channel video in fairness to help. But you know what? That you're now able to buy a 500 kilowatt transmitter and operate it, plus the fact that, okay, so you got no problems in taking dirty money from a molester that is really bad. Makes me want to think, so okay, so next time somebody's in trouble, maybe I'll think twice before doing a YouTube video. You know, I've been burned a few times. I've been burned by an idiot that said, hey, do a review on my channel, and that, you know, a couple of weeks after said, oh, you're a you know, idiot, and you're just a asshole because of whatever, you know, you've read or heard on another channel. And you know what? Okay, so you know what? From now on, I'm going to be much more careful at who I want to talk about and who I'm going to give privilege and who I'm going to help out in case of problems, honestly. And WBCQ is the first one. It's like, okay, did you really need these donations after all? You're getting a 500 kilowatt transmitter. Why not take that Friday night Alan Wiener thing and explain to us how and where you got the money to get the 500 kilowatt transmitter? And why not take that Friday evening Alan Wiener moment to tell us why Brother Stare is still on the air? Just gotta say. I just gotta say. So, you know, I don't know. Oh God, Nathan Petrosky says you should take a telescope to Area 51. Man, if I do that, I'm gonna disappear and never be seen again. Absolutely, Chris Freitas is totally right in what he's saying. I've heard the same thing. Alan mentioning how he doesn't have the money to replace and he can't afford replacing stuff and transmitters, and yeah, okay, something's not right there. Yeah, WBCQ had a big insurance check. The problem is, I heard him, and I did hear him saying they were not insured for that. I did hear him, and I remember very well hearing Alan say they had no insurance for that, for what happened with the fire. So, you know. Anyways, I don't want to, you know, go too much into that. There's a lot of stuff, and it's really, you know, really interesting what's happening there. I can tell you that. If I disappear, by the way, by next week, you guys know that maybe it's because we're talking about that tonight. Whatever happened to Gilles that had that YouTube channel? He disappeared somehow. We never see him again. How about the pirates on Satcom satellite radio? Have us in Russia heard Brazilian radio pirates? Yeah, there's a lot of them. Absolutely. I don't hear them very well. I hear a faint signal on the UHF frequencies for the Satcom, but it's kind of interesting to see all the Brazilian the Brazilians in Portuguese being on these channels. It's kind of funny. Yeah, Sheldon is like Sheldon's saying. There's a theory about U.S. covert agencies is installing the antenna and transmitter because of WBCQ's strategic location in northeast Maine. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll have a new number station off with 500 kilowatts off of Maine. If we hear a new number station suddenly on the air, wow, look at that powerful number station suddenly. Oh God. Roland Sikala says, for information, you can buy all the passport books up until last publication from Universal Radio, used books, list and passport reviewed. The K8, Kato K8 1103, 4 stars in 1999. Yeah, I know you can probably buy them used, and I'm sure you can find them used at many places. But I'd like them in electronic form, you know, because they don't take space. They're there on your tablet or computer. It's not, you know, having all the thick books. I'm trying to find mine. I got 3 or 4 Passport to World Band radios somewhere. They are in a box, I think, and I need to take them out someday and have them near me. I want to keep them for also, you know, keep them for souvenir and, you know, nostalgia of everything. Crazy. Sheldon says their location is not far from that William Weber elephant cage antenna was located to gather intelligence. Who knows? Maybe they are gathering intelligence. You know, maybe it's a receiving station also. Richard Cook, WRWM 4996 week. Let's try 4996. See if I hear anything. I haven't heard RWM in quite a long time. 9996, nope, nothing. Nope, nothing there. How about propagation? I always check out 5450 and see if the Royal Air Force Volmet from the UK in 5450. It's not bad, but it's not as strong as it could be sometimes. It's just crazy. David Arden, the first World Radio TV handbook, got in '76 and still have it. Wow. Well, imagine all the stations. You know what? What made me... What I found so amazing? The EIBISpace.de website. You can go... There's an archive of past schedules. They have one from 2001. And it has... You look at the stations and you start looking at all the stations broadcast in North America in an evening, and you're like, oh man, I miss these days when there's so many, you know, so many of these stations broadcasting. Is just crazy. Oh, I never did look at that for sure. William Helms, they have friends that I don't have. Yes, think about it. I'm not going to jail for being stupid. William, you know. Russia is no longer broadcasting on shortwaves, only medium wave, as well as missing a radio broadcast as long wavelengths. I miss the radio the Voice of Russia from the 90s. I even miss the Radio Moscow from the 80s. It was nice. Sheldon says, look at the WBCQ site on Google Earth. It's a dump with a bunch of people living in beat-up old trailers. For some reason, you know what? Every time I hear Alan Wiener, and even seen a few pictures, I'm like, wow, it kind of fits the living in a beat-up old trailer thing. I don't know. No problem. Shut up, Samar. Please tell the CIA that I just want to... Actually, I won't use these words live, but I don't really care, and they are just again of whatever. And that, well, I'm here on YouTube to stay forever. So, okay. Oh, God. Two ends of radio. I've heard Brother Stare in passing throughout numbers of $1.7 million or so, things that make you say, yeah, the guy's got tons of money. You know, it's so sorry. You know, it's just crazy. John Young, the U.S. Navy's very low frequency transmitter in Cutler, Maine, 1.8 megawatts, broadcasting on 24 kilohertz to submarines. That's a good transmitter. They have to. I mean, those low frequencies are actually the ones that penetrate deep ocean, but you need a lot of power. You need a lot of power, especially if the transmitter go really, you know, the submarines go really deep. Hey, I'm at my third beer now. So cheers, everyone, and here's to our sane mind and our and all of you that are great people out there. Yeah, John Smith, we're talking about WBCQ. That was really, you know, we had the impression it would almost disappear because they had no money when the fire hit the transmitter, and suddenly they have money for a 500 kilowatt transmitter, and you know, it's like, okay, something's weird. Plus the dirty money they accept from Brother Stair, I can tell you that. Pretty crazy. Fabrice says, while we are at transmitter powers, why it seems there is an unwritten rule of 500 kilowatts maximum. Law of diminishing return beyond that. Yeah, part of it. You know, you gotta understand one thing about transmitters, and it's true in the amateur radar world. Very often, people think, oh, I'll double the power of my transmitter and I'll double the signal strength, and it doesn't work like that. Actually, when you double the power, the transmitter power, you have a very slight increase in signal at the other end. So, you know what? There's a maximum power where you're spending so much money, just isn't worth it anymore. And honestly, and we see this in the shortwave transmitters today of many stations. Many stations suddenly find out that, oh, by the way, you know, when you transmit to North America with just 100 kilowatts, they're erased almost just as well as when you're using 500 kilowatts, and it costs us a lot less money in electricity. So, you know, apart from exceptions on medium wave where there are some megawatt transmitters, 1,000 kilowatts, most stations, and you know, even today, a lot of shortwave transmitters are not even cranked up to 500 kilowatts anymore, because it costs a lot of money, and there's just, you know, not that much of an increase, honestly. So, you know. So, you know, there's not that much of an increase, honestly. And that's exactly it, as David Arden says. Madrid DXer, can you play an Amiga Atari game before you end the hangout, please? Okay, well, when I end, I will fire up something. Okay, I'll see what I have here that's available really quickly. Oh, I think I got Pinball Dreams, which is a very nice pinball game for the Amiga. I'll try that, okay? So hang in there. But honestly, if you put a lot of power, you don't necessarily have that much more, honestly. Here in Russia, radio pirates love to work with each other at frequencies 2.920, 666 kilohertz, and 10460 in USB modulation. I often hear a lot of pirates talking in the regular pirate bands here, like 6 megahertz and so on. Hey, take care, Sheldon. Was always nice. Tomorrow, the International Radio Report, absolutely, 14:30 UTC, and you can count me in a very, very near future for the CKUT, and I think I'm going to be there at least once or twice a month, and it's going to be a pleasure for me to be there also, Sheldon. Take care, have a nice evening, and see you soon, Sheldon. Ethan Best said, third beer, you're not even trying. Oh, man. My ass hurts because I'm sitting in the same position for the past 2 hours, 3 hours. I really have... I need more cushioning in my ass. Take care, everybody, and remember, a sample copy of the CIDX Club Bulletin at cidxclub@yahoo.com. Absolutely. It's a great, great club to join. So check it out. Twins and Radio says what? Yeah, you know, that's the thing. It's you know, they set up a GoFundMe. I actually gave an amount of money. I did a YouTube thing on WBCQ, and you know what? They don't seem to have no more money. Honestly, pretty crazy. Yeah, there are some audio stuff sometimes from the UVB 76 in Russia. I've heard the buzzer on 4625 quite a few times. I have 2 or 3 videos of receiving that UBV 76 buzzer on 4625 here. Quite a few times. Matt Reader DX says the worst thing you did when you redid your room was put the Amiga in Atari on show on the Hangouts. Yes, Pinball Dreams is a great game. But it is something that I intentionally did. I knew that it would spark interest in some people. And I find them really cool because, you know what? I've had those for a while. They were always, you know, on the desk over in the back of the camera, never plugged in. So when I wanted to play a game, I had to physically take the computer, plug it in the TV, and then play. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel like playing an Amiga game, but I got to take the Amiga, plug it in on the TV, and it's a hassle. Here, they're plugged in, they're ready to go, and that's what I like. I just want to play an Amiga game. I just put the TV in, in composite mode. I turn on the Amiga. I got the Amiga working, and it works, and it's ready. That's why I like it here. And it was kind of intentional because I'm still thinking of like doing some kind of retro gaming a little bit with my nephew Gabriel. I met Gabriel yesterday, and he was telling me how he misses having some live show with me. So he's gonna have to be here soon. It's pretty crazy. Yep, the pip and the squeaky wheel, absolutely. There's all of that. Oh, God. Just Simon said, what was the website or YouTube channel you recommended for sub-miniature portable radios? Oh, it's a website. It's just that when you're in the, there's a ultralight DXing group that is for receivers that are very small. And they have to, there's a list of what is ultralight. Anything that's very small, it has to not have single sideband. And there's a fan club for ultra light DXing, basically. And some of them are pushing these little receivers to the limit of their capabilities. Is just crazy. No, the GoFundMe did not reach the goal. At all, but still they're having a 500 kilowatt transmitter. Maybe that GoFundMe is not something they should have done. Calvin, is the Grévin Museum near you? I read that they had a retro video games exhibition on up to last year, mostly Nintendo games. You can go and play. Oh yeah. That is downtown. It's not next to where I live, but it's not very far. It's downtown. And basically, that retro gaming thing, my nephew Gabriel went there. I was not able to attend when that happened, when they did that. But apparently it was really cool. But at the same time, my nephew told me that with all the computers I've got here, I'm almost good enough to do a retro gaming museum. So that's not bad. David Arden says, got a suggested topic. Why not have all the hams get on the air on a certain frequency and see if we can contact each other? You could monitor. That is a good idea, actually. That is a really good idea. We had a few hams go on the air sometimes when I was live and try to say hi, but yeah, absolutely. That is a great idea, actually. I'm going to keep that suggestion in, and we're going to, you know what, when I do the next amateur radio special in one of my live shows, I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have all amateur radio operators kind of join in somewhere, and we'll try to monitor these stations, and you guys also can monitor all of that for sure. Ah, man. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All this talk of ham is making me hungry, as Akantel says. Oh, man. The comment says, cool, I'm writing about it as part of my thesis, CGL for college. Okay, that's interesting. John Smith, do you know the YouTuber, the report of the week? He used to do a show on WBCQ but left. He complained about all the money we were spending, but the weakness of the broadcast. You know, there's a lot of things. There's somebody I know that had a show on WBCQ, actually. And we were talking about how that person was telling me how is a woman. She had the impression nobody was listening because she did a show and she talked to different subjects, and she said, you know what, I got the impression that there is absolutely nobody listening. And so sometimes you wonder, you know, some frequencies and sometimes I got to tell you that. Radioactive says odd weather facts on 12.410.2 12410. Huh. And it sounds like a weather fax. I don't hear anything here, and anything around there. If I go to the IBI space, what's around 10? Is anything around 10? Oh, you've got it's 12412.5. It's on right now, 2150 to 030. It's the NOG fax from Kodiak, Alaska, radioactive. You are receiving Kodiak, Alaska. They're on right now, 12412.5. It's 2150 to 030. It's ALS, Alpha Lima Sierra, Alaska. No, that's Alaska, but it's NOJ is the call sign. So Nancy Oscar Juliet. And it's fax from Kodiak, Alaska for Western North America. I'm not receiving it here, but you are receiving the Alaskan fax, weather fax being sent out. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We can call it the official shortwave net. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Chris Reda says there was a nice retro store near the fest, and it was so hard to not spend any time there, especially now I mostly game on Steam. Black and Blue, hey there, nice to have you on board. Got an Atari flashback for Christmas last year, pretty neat. Nice. Radioactive says an amateur radio show would be cool. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'll be sure. I have an old World Star solid state multiband radio. Is it possible to hear with it if I use an outside antenna, or is it too old? If it is a minimum of sensitivity, if it receives, because it probably receives medium wave, if you hear a station on medium wave, I'm pretty sure if you put an antenna, a wire, an outdoor antenna on that, you will hear shortwave stations on it. Look, I've got this. Look, this is 19. It's as old as me. This is a 1969 Gruding, man. Here we go, right there next to me, and this thing kicks ass, honestly. on shortwave, it's super heavy, as you see. It's like if I lift that up every day, I'll have big muscles. But fire it up and listen to it, man. I'm sure you're going to receive stuff. I'm sure you're going to receive stuff. Richard says M08A should be coming on 8010 if it's transmitting. But if it's in good condition, it should work. The problem with older radios, it's sometimes it might have problems and not receive as well. That's the thing. You guys were talking about pizza and everything. I'm thinking of going to get a pizza next door now. I'm getting hungry. Man, Just Simon, you're the best radio show I've heard since I started listening to shortwave in 1993. Arnie Coro on Radio Havana, Cuba is the only other close equal to you. Oh man, pretty cool. Pretty cool. What else? Just the facts, ma'am. Absolutely, David Arden. Yeah, no problem, Black and Blue. It's always nice to have you here. Radioactive says, no wonder I've not received NOJ this good in a long time. The reason it sounded weird is because it is in APT mode, receiving satellite image. Ah! Oh really? It uses that mode on the shortwave bands. Wow. Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. I didn't know they used that. I want a chill workout series. And now we take 2 Kenwood's receivers and just, let's do our... How do you do your push-ups? Well, you put the icon on your back and then you do the push-ups. So you get a little extra weight. How did you get those big muscles? Well, I lifted up an old icon receiver from 1975 about 100 times a day for the past 20 years. Oh, God. Paul B says, I think developers should incorporate CNF, continuous noise filtering, to reduce SSB noise. There's a lot of stuff that could be done to improve, but everything is always around money. So if every manufacturer can save a little penny here, a little 5 cents there, if you sell a lot of these, it at some point has an impact when you don't always put the best of the best. Okay, stop talking about food, please. K2's talking about an homemade French onion soup. Now I want pizza in onion soup. I want that. I want to have teleportation so you guys can send me food. That would be good. You guys could send me food, and I'll be glad to eat it live. Well, the radio on 7780 kilohertz from WRMI. Am I hearing it? I don't hear that frequency really well. I hear it a little bit. 7780 for anyone who was asking about radio-related shows. Right now, World of Radio from Glenn Hauser's World of Radio, 7780 right now. So shows you guys. Put some RF amps on your back and do push-ups. Hey, you see Red Dragon. You know what? You get some old tube receivers from the 60s, 50s, 40s. It's like, okay, I got some tube receivers here, and now let's do our push-ups today. Oh, man. Pretty cool. Anything else? Yeah, I did see that there's a Soft 66 SDR version that is network. So I can't talk much about it. If it has the same, let's say it has the same performance as the original that I've had here, which was the Soft 66 RTL2. It could be interesting, and the fact that it has a Ethernet port is interesting because you can, you know, I love my Fedry SDR for that. It has, you know, I use it through the network here inside. So it's kind of interesting, and it makes it easier also to share if you want to share it, you know, with everybody around the world with the software and stuff. But if you have the same performance, it's interesting. It looks interesting. So, you know. Radioactive says, got the FT101B. I would hate to ship it anywhere. I believe, you know what, Radioactive? I believe my sister that passed away when she was an amateur radio operator in the early to mid 80s, I think that was one of the the transceivers she had, a Yaesu FT101. What version exactly, I don't remember, but I think that was one of them. Calvin wants a nice burger. Oh man, I'm getting hungry now. Let's SST visual some food. I'll just watch it. I'll just look at it. I want to be able to eat it. Oh man. Oh God. Oh, Bobby Burgess says that Glenn Hauser also told stations that carry staircase should reconsider. Exactly what I think. Exactly what I think. Southern Illinois, and is there all sorts of American fast food shops in Canada? How far over the border do they go? I know Canada is remote. There is a McDonald's probably everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised there's a McDonald's in Kuujjuaq, Nunavut. I'm joking, there's probably not, but we have McDonald's everywhere. I got a McDonald's 5 minutes from here. We got Wendy's, we've got Domino's Pizza, Pizza Hut, we've got Burger King, we've got Subway. We've got a lot of American fast food junk here, honestly. I like from time to time some of these, you know. Honestly, once a month I go to McDonald's. I like that. It's okay, you know. It's okay. I gotta tell you. Yeah, Radio Tirana, 5850. That must be Radio Tirana at this time, right? It's not very strong tonight, but 5850 is Radio Tirana, rebroadcast from WRMI. Richard Cook says 7220. Romania, strong in English.
I don't share a place. If I look at the movies made last year, I could say that I have much in common with their makers. First of all, there is the way in which we see the world and the way in which we constantly live.
Calvin, what's the Ethernet port for? Is it just for streaming it up online, say on Global Tuners or something? I was thinking of getting one purely out of curiosity. No, it's more than that, okay? Because the so when you get an SDR, okay, my Fedry, for example, we'll compare with that. When you have an USB port, the USB ports out of computers have as a limit of bandwidth of the amount of data they can send out. Ethernet, and especially if you get gigabit Ethernet, can give you so much more data that you can actually have a bigger waterfall. So to give you guys an idea, Calvin, if I was on USB with my Fedry, I would see about 200, maximum 200 to 300 kilohertz wide on the Fedry. Because I would reach the maximum amount of data the USB port can actually use, which it uses is a USB 2.0 port. Now, yes, USB 3, USB-C is much more data. Still, gigabit Ethernet is more than anything else. So, having a Ethernet port, you can now spread. So here I spread 600 kilohertz. you see 600 kilohertz of wide of data, but this takes tons and tons of data. I have gigabits and gigabytes and gigabytes of data going through my network right now while I'm doing the show, for example. So it shows you I got a good router. I'm streaming 1080p out to you guys on the internet, plus I've got gigabytes of data going through my network for my router here. So the Ethernet port will open up a much bigger space of seeing the data on your screen than what the USB port usually gives you. So that's why Ethernet is nice on any SDR. Radioactive says, lots of FT101s out there. Workhorse of Yesu for many years. Take care, Cosmic Lettuce. I promise I will try to make it to your astronomy stuff. Your astronomy live show, okay? Gotta tell you. Fabrice Simonet says, if WBCQ sends you a pizza, if I were you, I wouldn't bite it. No, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be sent by Alan Wiener. He's gonna watch my stuff and he's gonna say, you know, I wouldn't be surprised that guy someday was like, well, you know, that YouTuber that talks about against me because of, you know, Brother Stare and so on, maybe you should shut up or something. Can I try decoding Olivia on 7072? Is there Olivia there? Do I hear it? We'll try to see what we are here. I'm not getting Olivia. What I'm getting here is that FT8 on 7074. Wow, so many signals tonight. Look at that. Let's just check it out for curiosity. So let's put it a little lower here. Doesn't need to be that strong. And let's check out WSJT. All the stations that are going to show up here. So I'm supposed to decode something here. Here we go. K1GUY, K1LOL, W4UWC, AE8S calling CQ, WV5L. Only American stations. V2, WK, we've got, what do we have, anything special? Oh, SV1LHZ, no, but EA5, there's a, I'm hearing a Spanish one, HA1RB here. So these are interesting DX stations. Yes, we do have Taco Bells, but not near where I live. They're pretty far from here, the Taco Bells. Here, Chris. Niagara Falls has a great waterfall. Yeah. Now on USB 3 you get more data, but you get more data over Ethernet than on USB. Absolutely. No, well, even though there exists a standard for power over Ethernet, usually when you have an Ethernet or SDR, you got to power it separately. Usually. What else we have? Something to understand, is 100 megabyte LAN faster than USB 2? Yes, it is. Totally. You will transfer faster on a 100 megabit LAN than you will transfer on USB 2. That's why a LAN SDR is better. And if you get a gigabit LAN, it's even better. It is better. It is better. That's why we like transferring using LAN Ethernet cables. Usually LAN is faster than USB. It all has to do with, because you know what the problem is, USB promises a lot. But the reality is that USB is not capable of doing the promised speeds that they say is supposed to be there. So a 100 megabit LAN is faster than USB 2 most of the time. The handshakes are also shorter in the way that it handles data. And gigabit is amazing. Hey Josh from Chesapeake, nice to have you on board. Hey Robert Prosper, we've been on for 3 hours and 30 minutes. Or 3 hours and a half. We're equal to last night right now. So it gives you an idea. Plus the fact that when you're on the LAN, which is cool, is that you can, and that's what I do to my ephedry. My ephedry SDR, I've actually plugged into my router directly. So using HD SDR, I actually can receive it, and what's cool is that having a Ethernet SDR, you can fire up your laptop or any computer in your home and listen to your SDR, which is fun. Because so for example, I go in the kitchen, I start cooking food, I bring a laptop, I go in the kitchen, I decide I want to listen to Shortwave, I bring my laptop in the kitchen, turn it on, start listening to the ephedry SDR on the laptop, and I have a full working shortwave radio with my outdoor antenna while I'm cooking food. So that's also cool because, you know, Thunderbolt is faster. Thunderbolt is typically kind of USB-C. Thunderbolt has always been faster. It's really USB-C. I would like to see the performance of Thunderbolt on a real day-to-day thing. You know, I mean, seeing it in a real-world moment. But I gotta say that Thunderbolt might be one of them that is actually so fast that it could easily rival probably. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that's, you know, it's very expensive, very expensive. So basically, it is there's not a lot of stuff with Thunderbolt or USB-C stuff. Well, Robert Prosper, do it. Do it, man. Hey, take care, J.D. Williamson. Good night. Take care. Always nice. Free Saxon. Hello there. Nice to have you here. MDK2 says equal to last night, aka just halfway for tonight. Oh, man. You know, anybody that wants to do YouTube stuff, go for it. There's new rules that's making it a little harder now. You gotta, you know, to monetize, you gotta get 1,000 subs and everything, but why not go for it? You know? Yeah, man, Reader DX here. USB-C type is a connection type, but USB-C is pretty much always Thunderbolt. That's why I talk about USB-C type, because it's usually also different. Hey, Bruce James, KB8 KAC. Nice to have you on board. What's the minimum practical power one would need in a shortwave transmitter to reliably cover most of North America and reach Europe? Okay, that depends on the mode that you're using. So an amateur radio operator with, say, Morse code, CW, a couple of watts, and you'll do a couple of watts. You'll easily do North America. Single sideband, a couple of 100 watts. You'll reliably do North America. But of course, got to choose wisely in the frequency. Where it's more difficult, it's AM mode. AM mode is a power gobbler because you got to sustain that carrier that takes a lot of power all the time. That you'll need a much more of a transmitter, but you'd be surprised. It's very, very complex. It's dependent on frequency. So for example, good propagation on 10 meters for a couple of watts, 100 watt can reliably get you across North America. But for regular, if you're talking about a regular shortwave transmitter, you know, a couple of kilowatts at least, if not 50 or 100 kilowatts. But depends what you want to do, depends the mode, it depends the frequency, depends a lot of things. I got to tell you that. It depends on a lot of things. Yeah, because when they use Man Radio DX or the USB Type C, they're not in, you're not talking of USB 2 or anything anymore. Usually when you have that new connector, you also have a Thunderbolt connector. It kind of goes together. You know, you don't put a USB Type C on unless you have a Thunderbolt connector. Where a more regular USB type connector or mini USB or micro USB might be 3 or 3.1, which is a very 3 to 3.1 is a very minor change, honestly. Hey, take care, Calvin. It was nice to have you on board as usual. As usual. Casper Peterson, how many watts Pirates uses? That's very difficult to understand because it's we don't really know. But I suspect that a lot of pirates are in the kilowatt. You know, like Wolverine. Wolverine is an example of how that operation must be in the kilowatts. That guy must have a couple of thousand watts in the antenna, because when he's heard everywhere. So I would say that pirate radio stations can be from several hundred watts, even maybe just 100 watt to a couple of kilowatts. Remember that many pirate stations actually use amateur radio gear, so they have the power limit of their amateur radio gear. So unless they have some power amplifier of some sort, a lot of them are just a few hundred watts, honestly. But there are some kilowatt pirates on there, for sure. Dave Todd says, I like the ephedry with the LAN connection, but eventually went to the RSP Play Pro 2 because I went above 30 megahertz and was all mode. Oh, absolutely. I understand totally that. I mean, for me, the ephedry is a shortwave receiver. It's a shortwave receiver. And if you use an RTL SDR or anything, you've got, like the Soft 66, for example, which is a very basic SDR, software-defined radio. It covers shortwave, but it covers VHF, UHF. You've got a wideband radio. The Soft 66, I always see people saying, well, poo-poo, the Soft 66 is not that good. No. Put it in the context of a Soft 66 costs, I don't know, 40 bucks? 35, 40 bucks? It's a wideband radio. I mean, you're listening not only to shortwave, you're listening to VHF, UHF up to the, about 1.7, 1.8 gigahertz. Think about the fact that for 40 bucks, you've got an amazing device that has such a wide range of frequency. It is, when you put it in context, it is an amazing thing to have that. But, of course, your RSP Play, it's a wideband radio. It's cool to have a wideband radio. My wideband radio is right here. It's the icon. I go to 2 gigahertz on that. If I want to go wideband, I've got the RTL thing that I can use also. It depends what you want to do and what you want to listen to. But it is amazing to have a wideband radio, wideband receiver. That's for sure. Absolutely. What is this? Let me just check it out. What is this? What is this 10 gigahertz ham radio I heard something about, Casey Red Dragon? Amateur radio is the experiment. It's really the experimental side of 5960, by the way. And we're going to try that. Voice of Turkey, 5960 should be here. Let's check it out here. Yeah, it's there and it's pretty good. Look at that. We have Voice of Turkey, 5960 kilohertz.
Which of the following countries hosted the 2018 Winter?
Hey guys, I'm leaving you with Voice of Turkey for 2 seconds. I need to go pee. Seriously. And I'm back, okay? So it won't be very long.
Among those with the correct answer, will receive a present each from the Voice of Turkey. Please send in your answers by 31st of March 2018, either by email to english@org or by fax, for which the number is 0090-312-463-3454. Our mailing address is PO Box 332 06443 Yumshahit, Ankara, Turkey. We wish you the best of luck. The question of the month.
Hello everybody, we are back, and let's lower that music so I don't get a copyright notice. I was holding it in for the past half hour and it's like, okay, I gotta pee. So we're back. So anyways, there's some amateur radio stuff in the gigahertz, a lot of these very high frequencies. You know, amateur radio is experimental, and you got to remember one thing is that it is one of the aspects of the hobby that's cool, because it, you know, a lot of what we learned through time with radio frequencies are due to amateur radio operators. Well, you know what costs you a lot, Robert Prosper, in the new shortwave station is all the requirements, getting your license, a valid license to broadcast, and all of that. You know, here in Canada, just getting online a station would cost you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're not even on the air yet. It's crazy. Who are the pirates? Casper Peterson is asking. Well, pirates are a different kind of people. They think that the airwaves should not be owned by governments. We should not have to pay thousands of dollars for licenses, and think that the airwaves are free and everybody should have a possibility of hearing programs. They're much of the times radio fans. There are people that love radio, and that think that, you know, one of the fun things about it is just get on the air, honestly, you know. Bruce James says new LG G5 G6 has USB-C. Yeah, USB-C. Yeah, it's crazy. But there are a lot of pirates. Absolutely, MDK2. There are tons of pirates with just very, very low power. Absolutely. Robert Prosser, any idea of the electricity bill would be to transmit, say, 6 hours a day at 10 kilowatts? Okay, well, think of your, what example I could give? Okay, here in Canada we have, well, here in Quebec at least, most of us are heating our homes with electricity. One electric heater is about 1.52 kilowatts. But it doesn't work 24 hours. It works, you know, for a short while while the temperature goes up, stops, continues. So think about, you know, maybe 7 electric heaters, and you keep them at maximum working 24 hours a day. 10 kilowatt can ramp up a bill quite a lot. honestly. David Arnott says there are people with an eye patch and a parrot. Yeah, that's also pirates, honestly. Oh God. I like that. Makes me laugh. Oh man, Robert Prosser. All I usually pick up is religious broadcast China and Cuba. Yeah, you got to get out. Probably you got too much noise. You got to get out of your home and you got to go or have a bigger antenna or a better antenna, possibly. David says, I once picked up US Pirate Wolverine radio with my Texan PL600 and telescopic while sitting on my bed here in Barcelona. I wonder what power they are running, but for that to be possible. He's into kilowatts, that's for sure. That guy is so strong. It's such a very, very powerful pirate. It's amazing. It's just crazy. I do need the pirate flag back up because right now it's right here to stop the sun from coming in, but I will put the pirate flag back up, and I'm soon to do another pirate special, so you're gonna have to be back up over here for sure. Mandriel the Xer says Jerry the X says Wolverine best pirate in North America. Yeah. Oh, in Manhattan, you're in the middle of the city. You're like me. Well, Manhattan is worse than me because you're even more in the city. You know, I'm in the city, but I'm like a little suburban. It almost looks like I'm in the suburbs. Manhattan is even more central. It's like if I would live downtown Montreal almost. And it is very challenging, absolutely. And that is the sad side of being a city guy. You know? Andrea the Xer says, one other thing is I am sure Wolverine Radio does it aim at Europe too. Receive that station in the UK. Totally possible. It is possible. It is possible, you know. It's very, very, it's crazy. That pirate is crazy. Just crazy. Just crazy. Take a little walk. I'm sure in Manhattan you got some parks not too far. Take a walk to the park and bring a portable radio, and you'll be surprised you suddenly hear a lot more. I gotta put the eye patch on. I need a parakeet and a cat. And imagine Paul the cat finding out the parakeet while I'm doing the show. But in Manhattan, you must have some parks that you can go to. You know, apart from Central Park. Take a walk to Central Park and listen to Shortwave there. Try not to get mugged or anything, but oh man. David Arnott says, I wish I had access to some of the military HF transmitter that I used in the US Air Force. They would have made great pirate stations. Oh, absolutely. Imagine with the antennas they had and everything. Wow, that would be cool. Casper Peterson says, I have house in the village now, no noise here. Can't wait to get antenna up. Cool. 5935 is WWCR, Richard Cook. Absolutely. Hey Danny Shortwave, I'm back. I was testing an old ICOM PCR 100 and a serial to USB cable on my Windows 10 PC. It's working well. Yeah, it should, honestly. What the hell did I just hear? It's just crazy. Just crazy. So hey guys, I'm gonna call it quits for tonight. I am kind of hungry because of you guys. It's your fault, and I have no idea what I'm gonna eat. So you know what? I'm gonna go I had two choices. Either cook myself something or maybe go out and get a pizza. Because now I don't know, you know? So I want to thank everybody for being here. For being here. You guys are great fans. I hope you enjoyed the show today. 2 days in a row was very, very, very nice. Oh yeah, Montreal DXer. I'm sorry. Okay, wait. Do you have Pinball Dreams close? Pinball Dreams, Pinball Boot, and Pinball Disc 2. I think that's Pinball Dreams, but I'm not sure. Actually, is that Pinball Dreams? Whoa! He's gonna check it out. I thought it was called Pinball Dreams. So, okay. Here you go. It's for you, Mad Radio DXer. And I think that's Pinball Dreams, but I'm not sure, actually. I got some disc here. It just says Pinball, you know? And I thought it said Pinball Dreams. Let me just check it out here. Yeah, that's not it. So I guess that is Pinball Dreams. So we're going to try it out. And that's for you, man. Let's just get the discs out. And let's get the input video. There we go. And this is the Amiga screen. Yes, I will hit the fade to black, absolutely. So, Pinball Boot, and I think it's Pinball Dreams, but I'm not sure anymore. So will that work? What is that? Yeah, I think it is. Fairlight, when dreams come true. Yeah, Pinball Dreams, that's Pinball Dreams. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here's Pinball Dreams coming up. Look at that. That is one of the best pinball. I don't know if he uses the second drive. Let's try it out. Let's put Pinball Dreams do in the second drive. I don't know if it does work. By Digital Illusions. So we're gonna end up with a little pinball game. Yeah, that was amazing. Even the sounds and the music was amazing. Graphics are beautiful. I mean, this is a 1985 computer. Look at how beautiful graphics are. That thing was more advanced than anything at the time. Just crazy. Look at the music. Amazing. Oh, it's loading. Okay. Okay, so what is... How do I choose? Okay, F1 is ignition, steel wheel. Let's do F1. F1. And check out the... It's possible. It's possible. Hey, PM1WX, nice to have you here. Okay. And you guys will see that I'm either good or bad at playing this. Which is probably bad more than good, but we'll see. Loading ignition. Hey, and accept 2 discs. That's pretty cool. Okay, here we go. Okay. Flippers. That's okay. These are the flippers. Okay, down. Whoa! Almost lost it here. Come on, Warp. So pinball dreams. Take care, everybody. It was nice to have you on board. And stay safe, please. Love you all. And that was Pinball Dreams on the Amiga 500. Good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. And hey, while I'm at it, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. While I'm at it, if you guys want to help out and make sure that I continue doing shows, of course, your help is always welcome. And yeah, it's the Sony TV. Just very quickly, don't forget you can send donations to PayPal at paypal.me/shortwave or at the Yahoo email, and Patreon. So take care, everybody. Love you all. Next radio show is Friday. So this coming Friday, March the 16th, we are going to have another radio show. So take care, stay safe, love you all. See you next Friday, and hope you enjoy the show. So bye bye, everybody. And I'm fading out right now.